Welcome back, True Seeker. It is late Wednesday, October 30th, 2019. The Nationals have just defeated the Astros in the World Series as we predicted they would before the series began. And if you've been following the work I've been putting out, we've been talking about an Astros-Nationals World Series since before the postseason began. So what I'm going to show you in this video is undeniable evidence of how the world of sports and news, including the Oval Office, are scripted together, and how we figured out the Astros-Nationals World Series in the first place. It had everything to do with the death of George Herbert Walker Bush, big baseball family, a death that we predicted last year. I said George Herbert Walker Bush wouldn't make it past 94 and he wouldn't make it past November, which he didn't. And all throughout this MLB season on Patreon, we showed coded rituals between the Astros, the Rangers, and at the end the Nationals with the death of HW, which foretold the World Series. And if you are new here, I promise this video is going to blow your mind. You're going to find it very worthwhile. And if you doubt a word I say, I got a phone number you can call into. I'll give that out later. My track record is proven. I've been doing this since I got here. And it's just going to be undeniable what I'm about to present to you. How the world of sports, we're going to connect the MLB, the NBA, and the NHL, possibly more. There's always more to connect, but right now, just based on what we've done in the last 24 hours, going to show you with definitive evidence how scripted the world of sports and news and even the Oval Office are, because it's all controlled by one very powerful secret society, and we will identify who that is in this video very clearly. Before I go any further, I meant to have my camera up here. It's more believable if there's a face on the screen, right? So I don't want the camera that big, but let me get the camera up here. Find the right. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Now we're not taking up too much space. But here we go. So where I'm going to start is with the deaths of the two umpires in the World Series. And this wasn't part of our prediction, but I just want you to understand how sick the ritual was. On Patreon, I've been talking about the death of Eric Cooper, whose name equaled 62, like how the World Series would end on the day, leaving 62 days left in the year, and how he connected to the Nationals. And look at what score you get. And I mean, anyone can go back and watch the videos I've been putting out. There's a video on Eric Cooper. I talk all about 62. And anyway, let's just do it. We're going to review everything that everyone needs to know about this World Series. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but we're going to need every second to explain all that needs to be explained. Okay, Eric Cooper. He dies October 20th, 2 days before the start of the World Series. And there's a lot of things that are important here, but he died October 20th, the 293rd day of the year, which is the 62nd prime number. 293, the 62nd prime. And his name, Eric Cooper, equals 62. And as I pointed out, the World Series ends on the day, Game 7, the day leaving 62 days left in the year. And at the beginning of the season, we talked about the ritual with the Seattle Mariners opening the season in Japan. Seattle Mariners equals 62. Ichiro equals 62. He retired over there. We talked about how that was symbolic of Game 7 of the World Series being, scheduled for the day leaving 62 days left in the year. So we said right then, watch the World Series end in Game 7. We've had this idea all season, plus a whole lot more to it. And tonight's score, the final game, Nationals do beat the Astros. Today the whole national media was just all on the Astros. They're going to win this thing. It's not what the numbers said. Same numbers as the Vanderbilt College World Series, by the way. The same numbers that are used every single year to foreshadow who's going to take it. But 6-2. Number we've been talking about all year. And most recently with the death of this umpire right before the World Series began. And By the way, Houston, Texas equals 62, where the World Series was tonight. If you're new here, this practice coding numbers into words. Like, some people come here and they're like, this is so dumb. I could just say a number equals a word and make up a whole video about it. I love when people leave that comment. I'm like, is that person really that dumb to not investigate to see if that's what's going on? This is called math, and it's called second grade math. And yes, every single day, second grade math is used within the English language because nobody ever taught anybody to add up letters and words, which is actually a practice that predates English by thousands of years, which has always been used by Kabbalists, that term, the Cabal, which secret societies are all about. We'll bring it all together why this is even going on. But I realize sometimes I just got to stop. Because you have to realize I've been doing this for 6 years straight, proving my point. I don't expect anyone to even try to argue this and get 5 words in before I can just shut down their whole argument. We've done this way too many times, proven all this stuff way too many times. We do it literally every single day, all throughout the day in a variety of ways. Literally, I'm not misusing the word. And by the way, I know that major people in the media have watched this channel for years. What's the guy that looks like a rat on Fox Sports who sits next to the Sharp, the former NFL player? What's his name? Says his wife dresses him up for work. Anyway, he used to harass me on Twitter, Any of these people in the media, like Colin Cowherd, who I'm sure watches my videos and disses my work, because he's always talking about these conspiracy theorists on YouTube. I don't believe it. I'm like, who's making conspiracy videos about how sports are rigged? I mean, there are a few people out there. But, Scott Van Pelt, all these people, I'm pretty sure they all... And it's not just me who says this. Many people over the years say, can you believe what they said on last night in the game, or what Scott Van Pelt said last night after what you said in your video just the day before? And I'm like, yeah, I am noticing that. It's why, for people who don't know, my Patreon page, it's trolled by an army of trolls every single day to try to discredit the work. Anyway, I'm getting off on a side topic rant, but I know that people have a reaction to this like, what? Words and numbers? Like this means something? Yeah, it does, moron. This is how the world of sports is scripted every fucking day, and we're going to prove it a million times over. So sorry that I have to interject this rant, but sometimes I just remember, man, there's all these retards out there who just come up with all this bullshit in their head to block out the truth and leave like the dumbest comments. Oh, I could say cookie equals 19 and you love cookies. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean after what I just explained in this video? Now anyway, on with the show. The undeniable show. This is probably going to be the most undeniable video I ever made. Not that we haven't already made 2,000 of those, but or 6,000. But anyway, this umpire, his full name, Eric Richard Cooper, 105, right? Nationals, 105. Steve Scalise, the shooting hoax, which we're going to get to, which foreshadowed this World Series. His full name, 105. Tonight, the Nationals got their 105th win of the season. 105. Umpires, 82. Washington Nationals is 82. They might have won a game in this series, 82. We'll go back and look at that. His name, Eric Cooper, also 107. Washington Nationals 107. And by the way, for any baseball fan out there who thinks this is a joke, I want you to go back through box scores this year, and I want you to see how many pitchers became 10-7 against the Nationals. I want you to think about how the Astros won 107 games in the regular season. And then I want you to take this knowledge and just go back and look through the years of sports actually using it. And if you're like, well, how do I do it? Read my book. Go to JimOxinator.com. My book's 800 pages. You got to read the first 10 to get your money's worth. It's only $5. There's a whole chapter on rig sports. But anyway, this is as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3. 4 ciphers is all you got to know. The alphabetic order in reverse, and then those 2 orders just using the rules of numerology, which is super simple. But anyway, this Eric Cooper guy, as we pointed out, he had all these connections to Nationals, right? He was 52 years old. Then what happens? Another umpire dies during the time of the 115th World Series. Chuck Merriweather, who was 63 years old. 52 years, 63 years, added together, 115 years, 115th World Series. Now check this out. This man, Eric Cooper, who died just before the World Series started. His birthday, December 18th. His death, October 20th. Look at this. Look at this. He died 307 days after his birthday, right? 307. That's the 63rd prime. Again, Major League 63, Major League Baseball 63. And then days later, a 63-year-old umpire dies. And by the way, there were 63 runs scored in this World Series. Guaranteed, because we already talked about it before. There were 55 runs scored coming into tonight's game. Plus 8 more tonight, 6-2, 63 runs scored. And anyone go count it up, it's a fact. The Nationals scored 33 runs in Houston. 33 runs in Houston in 4 games. And Nationals equals 33. Nationals haven't had a World Series since 1933. Back then they were the Washington Senators. Caller?
Oh, sorry, Zach. I didn't know you were on air. I'll go off there. Thank you.
All right, see you, man. That dude's addicted to gambling. He literally calls me at all hours of the day for more picks. It's like, holy fuck, dude. Shouldn't you be celebrating? You just won a ton today. He's already ready for the next pick. That guy needs to detox from this, like, literally. He's not even excited, man. He's calling in for another pick. Every time he calls in, man, Zach, I need another pick. I'm just like, dude, you're a father. You have children. Like, seriously, man, if you end up watching this video, seriously, man, be a dad. You're gambling enough. Calling in for another pick at what time? 11:17. He does this every day because anytime I'm around my computer in the middle of the night working, he's calling in for a pick. Oh, my God, man. He's already looking at 2 weeks from now asking me about a game. It's just like, man, dude, we're like doing 20 games a day. You're already, okay. Some people just need to detox. Anyway. This guy died on the 20th as well, this umpire, right? And then let's talk about Chuck Merriweather, who just died. The other umpire, the 63-year-old. That's not what I want. Hold on. Okay, so then you get the death of Chuck Merriweather at 63. 2 umpires dead who used to work on the same officiating crew 2 years ago. Chuck Merriweather worked the 2004 World Series where St. Louis was in it. St. Louis equals 115, like this was the 115th World Series. And look at his name, Chuck Merriweather, 235 and 82, like Washington Nationals is 235 and 82. Umpires 82. He died 118 days after his birthday. And remember, deaths 118, homicides 118, George Herbert Walker Bush is 118. And that's what this whole that's the whole root of this scripted World Series, as we've been talking about all season. Skull and Bones, the death of HW. His family used to run the Rangers. They had connections with the Astros. They posed with Justin Verlander after the 113th World Series. So anyway, and just 118 in death, it always shows up. It's why the deadliest wildfires were in Paradise, California, and Los Angeles, California, in California state history on November 8th. 118. Paradise, California equals 118. Los Angeles, California equals 118, and it's on the 118th meridian. And again, all of this is 100% factual. It's all math, just using the alphabetic order. You can't change the number values of words. It's a system. It's like when people come here and think that I'm just manipulating and putting stuff together, it's like if I told you 1 + 1 = 2 and you were arguing that, oh, you just made up numbers because you'd never heard of numbers before. I never heard of numbers. I don't know what 1 + 1, that doesn't make, that's actually exactly what people do when they come across this work and dismiss it. I never heard of it before. I never heard of math. I've never heard of this equation, 1 + 1 = 2. I don't believe it. And then, you pick up 2 stones, and you're like, this is 1, this is 1, this is 2. And they're like, conspiracy theorist. And then they don't talk to you anymore. But, yeah, also last night, I didn't even mean to talk about this, but the death of 77-year-old John Witherspoon announced as Game 7's announced, and I noticed right away that he died on October 29th, the day leaving 63 days left in the year, and he's remembered for the movie Friday. And somebody told me that, I forget what the title of the next Friday movie is, but whatever the title is of the next one equals 115, like the 115th World Series. But I saw right away, Witherspoon 63, Friday 63, Major League Baseball 63, 77 before the announcement of Game 7. And then today you get the death of Alex Bregman's grandfather announced. Bregman's birthday was March 30th, exactly 7 months ago. Before Game 7, he announces that his grandfather died. Again, these rituals. He got a grand slam in the World Series. But this World Series ended up with 63 total runs scored. 55 before tonight's game, plus 8 more, 63. And again, Major League Baseball numbers. It's like 2 years ago on June 3rd, 2017. You had the first no-hitter of the MLB season, and it was by a Marlin paying tribute to the Marlin who died in the boating accident the year before, and it was all synced up, and it was sick, and I believe the pitcher's name equaled 63, if I remember right. That's the 154th day of the year. Grand Slam equals 154. There was a record in Major League Baseball on June 3rd, 2017 for the most Grand Slams. Doubleday equals 154. Abner Doubleday is the Freemason credited with American baseball. This language of letters and numbers is very much Masonic because it's based in Kabbalah, where this code comes from. But Dave Martinez tonight stayed on 154 career losses too by winning the World Series. Special numbers. June 3rd is the 154th day of the year. Go back and check out all that happened in baseball June 3rd, 2017. And then Witherspoon, his name in gematria. Here's your 4 base ciphers that you got to know. The alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. And look at the name Witherspoon in baseball. With the alphabetic order, Witherspoon and Major League Baseball are both 162, like the number of games in a modern season. Back in the day, it used to be 154 games, paying tribute to Doubleday. Then, they eventually modify it to pay tribute to baseball. This is why the season's so ridiculously long. I wonder if someday MLB might cut their schedule down to 117 games. Could happen. That'd be 45 less games. Major League alone's 45. When you add 1 through 9 together, it's 45. Because for years, for half my lifetime, they've talked about reducing the baseball season. But just look, alphabetic order and rules of numerology, Witherspoon and Major League Baseball the same. With the reverse alphabetic order, 135, 351, reshuffling of numbers. 351's the 26th triangular number, meaning if you had 1 through 26, it equals 351. Game and ball game both equal 26. Last year in Super Bowl 53, number 26, who was from Georgia where the Super Bowl was, scored the only touchdown 351 days after his birthday, which happened to be Michael Jordan's birthday, the GOAT, like they call Brady, who both got 6, February 17th. Going to end up talking about that in this ritual as well with this World Series. That's the day Geronimo died. We'll get to that. But 351 and 26. Last year, Sony Michel, number 26, 351 days after his birthday, scores the only touchdown in Super Bowl 53 at the 53rd minute of the game, right on the nose, in case you missed that. To get the AFC its 26th Super Bowl in the same building where Nick Saban, who's buddies with Bill Belichick, how both of them got their 6th championships at age 66 in the same building, the new stadium in Georgia. When Saban did it, he did it with 26 points, tying Bear Bryant. Bear equals 26, Bryant 26. If you read my book, this one right here with the bright green cover, which is now banned on several platforms, so I do suggest you get the book before it's just permanently banned on the internet, because that day will come. But the first chapter is, why is there 26 letters in the English alphabet? Boss number. The game is God. I know you've seen that phrase before, and it is for most people. So, and then baseball, 54 like Witherspoon. Notice baseball's 54 in 2 of the 4 base ciphers. The alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. 54 outs in a complete game. You see the baseball 18. Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in 61. Go back and watch that highlight. The pitcher was number 39. The catcher was 22. 39 plus 22, 61. 61's the 18th prime number. If you write out prime as a word with the alphabetic order, P's 16, R's 18, I's 9, M's 13, E's 5. Prime equals 61, the 18th prime. Comes from sacred geometry. the flower of life, which creates all shapes. It's made out of 61 circles. But, yeah, I also noticed that John Witherspoon had the gematria 70 like Astros, and I thought that was interesting. I was like, what's that mean? The Astros die? That's what I'm expecting. So, I'd watch out for the Wayans brothers next. Somebody in that family's long overdue the way the entertainment industry works. But because he was connected to the Wayans brothers, Wayans family, so. All right, so that was the starting piece, the umpires. Let's do the next piece, Donald Trump. So from Trump's birthday to today's game is 138 days. And here's the other things we're going to cover. I'm tired, man. I never write notes down. I have a little note here on a little notepad. Half of it's my lady's note. And then so this corner right here is my notes. Whoops. I can't even get on the camera. Just hardly anything. But anyway, what's written here are these words. Eric Cooper, Chuck Merriweather, Donald Trump, NHL and NBA, George W. Bush, Skull and Bones, George H.W. Bush, and Steve Scalise. I'm going to bring all these things together and show you just how undeniably scripted it all is together. And we'll talk about the Donald Trump piece now. He attended Game 5. Game 5 was a big letdown, just like Trump himself. But his birthday is June 14th, the flag's birthday. And we've used Donald Trump to decode several sports championships now. He's the center of all riddles. And Donald Trump birthday, June 14th, 1946. Him, Clinton, and George W. Bush are all born weeks apart from each other. But here's Trump, June 14th, so let's do it. June 14th to today, October 30th, the day that the World Series concluded in Game 7. Sometimes it makes me sad that there should be 6 years of videos on YouTube just like this, just showing all the games we've correctly predicted and the analysis and the breakdowns, because it was always awesome over the years, but it just gets better every year because we learn more and more. But look at this. Today is 138 days after Trump's birthday. It would also be a span of 139 days, which is interesting, but the 138 is really the kicker here. The Nationals just defeated the Cardinals, the only city, St. Louis, 115, to advance to the 115th World Series by the numbers. It was St. Louis's 138th season. And if you want to know how to verify these things, there's a sports reference site. Like if you type in the sport and the word reference plus the team, it'll pull up this site. So right here, baseball reference, football reference, basketball reference. The Cardinals were in their 138th season this year. Okay? And big number here. Donald Trump equals 138, right? With the alphabetic order. Notice it's also 159 because tonight the Rockets won in Washington with 159 points, and as we'll get to, the Nationals had 159 pitches tonight. Donald Trump's 159, also 138, but we're focused on the 138 right now. The word federal with the reverse alphabetic order is 138. The manager of the Nationals, Dave Martinez, his name equals 138 with the alphabetic order. And then the kicker is Nationals equals 138. And notice with the alphabetic order, Nationals is 105. That's going to be a big number. We already talked about it with the umpire, Eric Cooper. Tonight, the Nationals got their 105th win of the season. 105. Perfect. We're going to get to Steve Scalise, the shooting hoax. His full name equals 105. That happened on a date with 57 numerology, the Steve Scalise shooting. 57. You see the 159 for Scottish Rite? Scottish Rite's 57, 159, right? Washington, D.C. is named after the Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington. Today's 115 days to George Washington's upcoming birthday, February 22nd. Literally from October 30th to February 22nd is 115 days. I showed this in last night's video before this game was even played, in case you just got here for the first time. So, by the way, I'm on my 19th channel. I get censored a lot, so you should save these videos because someday they won't be here, guaranteed. But anyway, look at World Series. 57. And tonight, Here, I want to type in Nationals again real quick. You see this? Whoops, I can't type. Nationals 57, World Series 57. Even the name George is 57. George Washington, the Scottish Rite Freemason, was inaugurated at age 57. So were, I think, 4 of the first 6 presidents. It's because Freemasonry runs the show, and I'm going to definitively prove that. But like I haven't been doing for 6 years. And there are other secret societies. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry was infiltrated by the Bavarian Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, World Series 57. You see how it's also 147? Look at Houston Astros. 147. See that? See how perfect it all is? How cleverly it's all thought out? 147 windows on the White House. Freemason equals 147. Conspiracy. U.S. President of the United States. Anyway, but look at these numbers, and we're just hitting them all for the Nationals. If you think it's... Because some people come in and they're like, oh, that's dumb. All these ciphers? No, it's not dumb at all. And if you're a gambler, it's the best knowledge in the world. Watch situations and scenarios like this NBA season. Watch a team come into the San Antonio Spurs and say they have 33 losses and 20 wins. Watch them get that 21st win and stay on 33 losses. Say they come in with 21 wins and 32 losses. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to pick up that 33rd loss. And with several teams in the league, I'm just making one of many examples. All of these ciphers matter, you know. And all of these ciphers, the reason they have to do it this way is because this is how they create the code. So coming back to Nationals, just look at how it was all paid tribute to. Nationals win the World Series with their 105th win of the season. Nationals with the alphabetic order and rules numerology 33. They scored 33 runs in Houston in the World Series. And if you doubt that, go count it up, because I already did it for my paying customers today on Patreon. Nationals 138. Again, today's 138 days after Trump's birthday. We just went over this. And then 57, like Scottish Rite and World Series. And then, of course, 33. I mean, Washington, D.C. is named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington. Masonry's 33. Secrecy's 33. Order's 33. Federal's 33. First championship in D.C. since 33. That was 86 years ago, right? 86. Chuck Merriweather, the umpire who just died, he umped the World Series that broke the 86-year curse, you see? You see how it all comes together? This sick, demonic shit that it is. It is. You know? What I'm exposing is exactly what shouldn't be in the world. You know? We have athletes in the world. We have people who love to compete. We have talented people. We have amazing technology. We have taxpayer-built stadiums that are awesome. What if those buildings, when games were played there, people weren't ripped off on the ticket price, since they're paying to watch a game that they already paid for with their own tax dollars, that now some billionaires come in and makes more profit off? Because this is the way it works, right? And keep in mind the Bush family, who are part of the political system that built it this way, they used to run the Texas Rangers. You know what I mean? Hold on, we got to take a call real quick. Caller?
Hey, Zach, I just wanted to say, man, you're the man, man. You with these decoding and everything like that. People should really stand up and watch what you do here, because they can learn a lot. Everybody just wants to be like trolls and stuff. They want to be out there hating on you and everything like that. But they really should be paying attention to the stuff that goes on in this world today. Because if they would follow stuff to be more prepared for things in life in general, not just sports and stuff like that. I just wanted to point that out to you, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man.
Yeah. Here we got another caller, but I got to get on with this presentation because there's still so much more to say. Caller?
Yeah, hello, Zach. I just heard you talking about the 147 with Houston Astros and World Series. Houston native Anthony Rendon, who's on the Nationals, was in his 147th day of his age.
Today?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's the guy who tore it up in Game 6. Number 6 tears it up in Game 6.
Yeah, and he scored their first run with a homer.
That's just exactly what I'm talking about, man. That's how scripted it is.
Yep. 147th day of his age. Thanks, Zach.
All right. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The people that you see in these games were born and bred to be and chosen for their names and their birthdays because they're the perfect chess piece to go in the theatrical sports narrative that's already written. You know? So anyway, we've covered all the ciphers. This is all we're doing here. And alphabetic order. This is elementary. And this is literally how it's all scripted. You know, we could go through the whole roster and blow our minds. He just called in and made a good point about Rendon. And again, here, I'll show you this number 147. Freemasons, 147. Conspiracies, 147. From the first Sunday of a football season to Super Bowl Sundays, 147 days. The way they have the schedule configured. Probably why they don't move it from the 16-week schedule that there is. And by the reason it's up to 16 weeks now, I'm just so tangential, aren't I? But look at this. Football used to be a 14-game schedule. Football equals 43. So does Masonic. So does Yale. If you think that's dumb, it's because you don't know anything. Walter Camp, the Scottish Rite Freemason who went to Yale and who was likely a member of Skull and Bones, who seems to control the world of sports, he's credited with American football. 43, huge football number. Huge. So 43 is the 14th prime number. That's why you used to have a 14-week football season. And you know how football's on Sunday? No. I just want to show you something real quick. Jesus Christ equals 43. There's a whole, I can tell you about all these things, but we're just going to look at the 43. 43 is the 14th prime. If you've ever read the New Testament, it begins with the 42 generations to Jesus that are divided up into 3 groups of 14. New Testament's 42. See my video on Kanye West and why he just released his Jesus album by the numbers on the 74 date numerology. Kanye's birthday is June 8th. Blank Jesus, 68. And he released it on a date with 74 numerology. Just using the alphabetic order, Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables, they're all 74. So is the name Joshua, which is the English translation of Jesus. Anyway, sorry. To get back on topic, again, just to explain the relevance of the code. So far, we've covered Eric Cooper, Merriweather, and Donald Trump. And now we're going to cover Donald Trump better. Actually, hold on. I got to finish the point about 147. Hold on. World Series. Again, it's 147. It's also 57. Houston Astros. Got to spell correctly. Houston Astros. 147. Washington Nationals. Oops, I just want Nationals alone. Talk about all those other values too. Nationals 57. So, and then this number 147 with regards to the presidency, since this is 138 days after Trump's birthday. U.S. President 147. And again, there's 147 windows on the White House. Look it up. It's a fact. President of the United States 147. And why would they do 147 windows? Notice Windows 74. So is George Washington. So is Masonic. So is occult. So is English. So is Gematria. That's this practice of coding numbers into words. So is holiday. Holy day, holiday, Jesus. And so is Independence Day. Independence. I can't type. Independence Day 74. All right. Hey, Gary, you can call me back, man. I just wasn't expecting a call on my other number, but he can call back. Anyway. Everything is so cleverly thought out. This language of letters and numbers is what the Masons in high places who do the scripting of this world, from sports to whatever else, they do it this way. And here, let's just prove that what the caller said is correct. He said Rendon. Okay, so his birthday is June 6th. And from June 6th to October 30th it's 146 days after his birthday, and what he said was it was his 147th day of his age, so you got to click the span button. So today's 146 days after his birthday, or his 147th day of his age. And he is from Houston, and he just won the World Series with the Nationals in Houston. And I'm going to have to just take a peek at his name gematria real quick. 101. What 101 did I look at today? Oh my God, his name is 322 like Skull and Bones. Oh my God. Well, we were already going to get to the whole skull. We already talked about, I mean, that's all we've been talking about, Skull and Bones. But my goodness, man. These people. And then 2182. Remember when Trump sent us the emergency alerts at 218? There's a cipher that's caps related. The capital letters have plus. Look at this. Where see, like if I do a lowercase p, it's going to mess up this value right here. But capital tree, capital P, all capital letters are plus 26. Trump with the alphabetic order is 88. But anyway. Big number here with Trump, 218. So, man, this is what I mean. The more you look, the more you just find of how scripted it is. This wasn't even a planned part of the presentation. It should have been, because I was talking about Rendon yesterday, number 6 in Game 6, the Houston product hero. But look at this, 147th day of his age. I mean, hey, does Colin Cowherd want to go on his program tomorrow and show a clip of this and then make fun of it? These conspiracy theorists, I mean, dude, if I could go on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith, Stephen A. Smith would have to retire the next day, unless they just cut my mic and didn't let me talk. But, because if I really need to summarize this and get to the point and do this video in 5 minutes, I can. But tonight, I'm just having the fun, slower presentation, all sorts of commentary, because I don't know, it just feels right tonight. A lot needs to be said. I'm sick of getting censored. I'm sick of people sleeping on this work. I'm sick of people. I mean, you know, honestly, the content that I put out on Patreon, they're literally like every gambler in the world should be following it so that we can bankrupt the casinos. That's really what needs to happen. Then again, if everybody was following, they would definitely start flipping the scripts, because they're not going to let their empire be bankrupted. But they'd have to change. And we'd show that they're onto their game. And I think that they really do have to operate this way, doing these things like a religion. So, wow. 322. Okay. So look at this. We're going to go to the box score for tonight's game. I want you to see that the Nationals had 159 pitches, right? The Nationals had 159 pitches, and there's a whole lot more I could say about all this. The Astros had 148. Donald J. Trump's 148, so is Fraternal. Scherzer in 95 was a number we talked about before the game tonight. Anyway, 159. Let's go over and look at the score of the supposedly unrigged basketball game tonight. There was more points than an all-star game in 4 quarters. The Rockets beat the Wizards 159 to 158 in regulation. And we talked about this before the World Series even began. Here's another example of the world of sports crossing paths. 2 teams scheduled to play each other in a different league while it's the championship in another. This happens season after season. Houston Rockets, Washington, D.C. Wizards. That's what the World Series was tonight. Houston Astros, Washington, D.C. Nationals. 159 points. And here's what's going to blow your mind. Look at this. Mike D'Antoni. Stats. Check this out. Mike D'Antoni, we'll see if it's updated. It might not be updated yet, but I guarantee you it's 100% factual. So they haven't updated it yet. It shows that he's 2-1 this year. Houston improved to 3-1 tonight. This was a no-brainer pick. today. Houston, 31 in the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. And Houston improved to 3-1 tonight by defeating the Wizards. And here I can just show you that real quick. See how it shows 3-1 here, but 2-1 here? It's because they haven't updated that third win yet. And when they do, he's going to have 631 wins. And guess what that is? That's the 115th prime number. Like, this is the 115th World Series where 2 umpires died whose combined age is 52 and 63, add up to 115. Now, how many years has Mike D'Antoni been a coach in the NBA? You know, from 1997 to the present. He had to be on that number with this perfectly scheduled game for this to happen, for this to be possible. And the thing is, these patterns across leagues, college and pro, go on championship after championship without flaw. And the thing is, as I guarantee you, for as much as I've shown over the years, I've probably only caught a fraction of all the rituals being performed. Like everything I've ever shown that's blown people's minds, there's probably 100 more things that could have been added to it to just make it all the more undeniable. Like how the caller called in with Rendon, and then we just see, oh my God, 322, the number of skull and bones, which is what this whole thing is going to come back to. Skull and bones, and the death of the Skull and Bones member, George H.W. Bush. His son's still alive, George W. Game 6 was 115 days after his birthday. His buddy Verlander lost again his 6th World Series non-win in the 6th game. And again, he posed with Verlander at the end of the 113th World Series along with his father, H.W. And all year, riddles ran between Verlander, the Astros, the Rangers, the Bushes, right through the World Series. So D'Antoni gets his 631st win. Houston in basketball defeats DC, and that's usually how it is in sports. There's like a trade-off. One team wins, the other loses. Check this out. This is 100% factual. George Mason Patriots. College basketball. Notice George Mason Patriots equals 237. The next day after their basketball game, Tom Brady got his 237th career win. And Tom Brady became 6-3 in Super Bowls. Go back and look at the George Mason Patriots game, which was against the VCU Rams, which is actually the college where the Rams football team gets their name from. The owner of the original Rams team back in the day, whatever city they started in, I can't even remember. Was it Cleveland or... I forget what city the Rams started in. But the owner named them after the VCU Rams. The George Mason Patriots and VCU Rams played each other the day before Super Bowl 53, where Tom Brady became 6-3, picking up his 237th career win. And the George Mason Patriots lost the game the night before with 63 points. Look at this. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the Super Bowl was, Super Bowl 53, it equals 307. That's the 63rd prime. Tom Brady played in his 307th game in the Super Bowl in Mercedes-Benz Stadium and became 6-3 in Super Bowls the night after the George Mason Patriots lost with 63. And don't forget when Brady lost to the Eagles in Super Bowl 52, which we called because of Donald Trump after Week 3. Well, we already had the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but we figured out it was against the Eagles thanks to Trump. Anyway, all this stuff was done in real time. Anyway, notice Philadelphia equals 223 and 65. Tom Brady after the Super Bowl losing to Philadelphia. He stayed on 223 wins. He picked up his 65th loss in Super Bowl 52. And remember, Philadelphia's birthday is October 27th, the day leaving 65 days left in the year. Philadelphia just whooped up on Buffalo this week. On the 27th, Buffalo equals 27. Carson Wentz got his 27th career win. Anyway, back to basketball. So that was one point about a score tonight. The NBA game. That score was 159, which we covered. Scottish Rite's 159, Donald Trump's 159. There were 159 pitches thrown in the game. And just go... If you learn gematria, I'll tell you what. If you go to gematria.com and just type out the names of the teams and the cities and all that, like do a line with the city, do a line with the team, do a line with the city and team, and just go and look through the box scores, just see how perfect it all is night after night. do the pitchers' names. So anyway, here was a call that I had yesterday in yesterday's hockey game based on this World Series, and we've actually had multiple, but just to keep it recent, yesterday in hockey. By the way, hockey's the easiest sport to call. People think they can't rig hockey. Wrong. Lightning get 14th points. New Jersey equals 43, the 14th prime. Lightning improved to 4-3 away. It's all the same shit. Blues get their 17th points. Minnesota Wild 59, the 17th prime. It's all the same shit. So anyway, yesterday we see this game and we go, this is an interesting game. The Washington Capitals playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we were saying tomorrow the Nationals will have a chance. Well, we were assuming that this would go to Game 7 because Game 6 hadn't even been played yet. But we were saying Game 7, the Nationals should have a chance to win their first World Series, like how Toronto won their first NBA championship, like how in hockey the St. Louis Blues won their first Stanley Cup. All these firsts. And what I noticed about this game yesterday, I can just prove this to you now. It wasn't played before, but look at this. Maple Leafs head-to-head. I'm going to show you their head-to-head all-time against the Washington Capitals. You'll see that they've played 149 games, and yesterday the Capitals got their 76th win in the series. So, hold on, I have to look at it from the Washington Capitals perspective. Okay, so the Washington Capitals versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Whoa, what just happened? What's that about? Okay, GP means games played. So yesterday they played their 149th game, right? And yesterday they got their 76th win. And we've already documented some Skull and Bones rituals this year with the... Wow, I just thought about something. Anyway, we've already documented some Skull and Bones rituals with this NHL season in the Washington Capitals in light of what's going on with the Nationals and the Skull and Bones rituals. And I just thought about how last year the Redskins were having a great season until Alex Smith's leg was snapped on the 322nd day of the year by J.J. Watt, who has a March 22nd birthday, who was in Houston, right? A Houston Texan busted the leg of Alex Smith on the 322nd day of the year, the number of Skull and Bones, and now you get that for the World Series. Hold on, that happened November 18th, the 322nd day of the year? Because we've been talking about what was the meaning of that ritual all year. And I just realized, like, oh, damn, that's like the World Series now. it would be a span of 347 days, and I think that's the 69th prime number. If so, that's a big number with Alex Smith. Okay, 347's the 69th prime? I can't believe these people, man. Whoops. Alex Smith equals 69. You have to use the numerology rule, but Alex Smith is 69 and his surname Smith. Type right. Just with the alphabetic order 69. So from Alex Smith getting his leg snapped on the 322nd day of the year to this 3-2-2 ritual of Skull and Bones and, star player from Houston winning it with the Nationals with the 3-2-2 name. Yeah. Wow. See what I mean? And sometimes this is why it's good to just talk about shit and not just go through the planned lesson, because sometimes you just like free flow and you just start speaking and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I forgot about something we've been looking at. Okay, my camera unfroze. Okay, so, Alex Smith, man. And I did finish making the point about hockey, how they got the 76th win in the 149th game. Well, this also happened. And anyone who doubts, why don't you go sign up for my Patreon page and go see what I said yesterday in the live stream if you doubt what I'm about to tell you, because it's 100% factual. I told my people yesterday, because some of them were sweating that the Astros were going to win the World Series once they got up 3-2 because they had money riding on the Nationals. And what I advised those people to do who were nervous yesterday is I said, here's what I would do. I'd put a bet on the Astros to hedge your bet if you're nervous. And then I said I'd put down a new bet on the Nationals to win the World Series and come back in games 6 and 7 because it paid 6-1, which was better than even before the start of the series. So some people who were anxious about the Astros maybe winning, they did hedge, but then they put down a new bet for the 6-1 odds on the Nationals to come back and win it. So again, not only do I give people the knowledge and help them make smart picks, but I also teach them how to do smart mathematics so you don't get wrecked in gambling, you know? And anyway, what I told people about this game yesterday, the people who were anxious, I said, if you want to wait and watch this hockey game, it'll mostly be over before the World Series starts. And I said the third period should be starting around the time the game starts. If that game is 3-3 in the third period between the Capitals and the Maple Leafs, I said that'll be your sign that they're going to even up the series 3-3 and go on to Game 7, which we already felt good about for numerous reasons. When the Nationals won Game 6, they became 11-5 for the postseason in the year of the 115th World Series. The Astros fell to 10-7. Washington Nationals equals 107. They had 107 wins in the regular season. The Astros fell to 10-8. Major League equals 108. 108 double stitches on a baseball. Cubs broke the curse, the 108 years, which we had pegged from the spring training. We said the Cubs would win the World Series. It was all about 108 double stitches. Astros fell to 10-8 in this postseason. And again, another curse thing, right? Kind of DC had a long stretch of no championships in baseball. 86 years. And by the way, that championship ended on October 7th in history of 1933. 10-7 again. Can't make it up. If you doubt it, look it up. It's 100% factual. But yesterday, this score, the game did go to 3-3 in the third period. And if you listen to today's live stream, one of the guys who appreciated that, he called in and said, man, that's exactly what I did. And another guy, he texted me last night. He's like, I pounded that Nationals game even harder when I saw the score was 3-3. So they have it perfectly synced up. If you watched tonight's basketball game and World Series at the same time, which I was sort of doing during my radio show because I had both game casts going, as the Rockets made their big comeback at the end of the fourth quarter in the closing minutes to go from 8 down to winning the game, the Nationals went from behind to ahead, At the exact same time. Because it's all scripted and choreographed. Either that or this Kabbalah magic is like, it really does influence the entire world and just make stuff happen. Some people believe that's what's going on, that it's all dark magic and just making all of this stuff happen. Alex Smith's leg breaking on the 322nd day with the guy born on March 22nd right above him. I mean, it's possible. I'm open-minded to all things, but whatever it is, the sorcery has to stop. The sorcery has to stop, and it can stop if enough people stop supporting these things, because it's all energy-driven. We talked about 74 earlier. Energy 74. So... okay, what's next on my notepad? I need my notepad to keep me straight tonight. All right, so we've covered the deaths of the two umpires. Combined ages 115, dead during the 115th World Series. Covered Donald Trump, how his birthday perfectly syncs up with this Game 7. By the way, again, things we've been talking about since before the World Series even started. The NHL and NBA rituals. And there's probably even more. But, I mean, these ones are just super obvious. Mike D'Antoni gets his 631st win, the 115th prime number of his career. The final night of the 115th World Series between the same two cities. I mean, the Rendon thing. We talked about Rendon. Now we really got to hit the George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Skull and Bones, Steve Scalise part. And hold on, I need to charge my computer too, because I see that it's... oh, I see what's wrong. Came unplugged at the extension cord. Okie dokie. Alright, so George W. Bush, his birthday is July 6th, which is the 187th day of the year. Check this out. Actually, this is awesome. Everyone's got to know this too. George W. Bush, birthday. It's July 6th, which is the 187th day of the year. And George Washington in history died at age 67. But check this out. July 6th, 1946. Just show you that July 6th is the 187th day of the year, leaving 178 days remaining. Kabbalah equals 178, but let's get to the 187. The name George Washington equals 187 with the alphabetic order. Washington, D.C. with the reverse alphabetic order equals 187. Remember, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry has their headquarters in D.C. The Jesuits are there as well. Ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. 187. Okay? That's what's etched on the Scottish Rite headquarters, the House of the Temple in D.C. George Washington was a Scottish Rite Freemason. 33rd degree. Society of Jesus. That's the Jesuits. Georgetown. The Jesuits. Washington, D.C. used to be the Catholic colony. That's why it's between Virginia and Maryland. Virgin Mary. Society of Jesus, 187. From Trump's birthday, June 14th, to the Pope's birthday, the first publicly Jesuit Pope, and there's a whole lot more to that. His birthday is December 17th. It's a span of 187 days. When Donald Trump ran for president, his convention began July 18th, 18/7, like 187, a span of 187 days from Inauguration Day. That's why I always tell my people, watch out for Trump to be the next president. You know, we talked about it for months. From February up through that he very well could be. It seemed hard to imagine. It just seemed like, I mean, really, this guy? But at the same time, it made a lot of sense for the reasons we talked about. Hold on, we're going to take a call and then we'll get back on with the presentation. Caller.
Yeah, it's late at night, but you have to look this video up. Maybe you remember this, but Bryce Harper, when he was announced for the Phillies and he was doing a press conference, he slipped up and said, I want to bring a title back to D.C. I want to celebrate on Broad Street.
And that's why all year they ran World Series riddles through him, and it turns out it was for his old team. So
yeah, he said, I want to bring a title back to D.C. in his Phillies uniform.
Yeah, it's a sick joke, man, but that's why all year, even the birth of his child, all the World Series stuff, for this man's on my Patreon, so he knows what I'm talking about, but this isn't just going out to Patreon people, so, yeah, it's amazing what they do. The birth of his child and everything was synced up with the World Series, so.
But he said it in a Phillies uniform. I want to bring a title back to DC, and the reporters then questioned him about that. He goes, "Oh, you went to franchise for 9 years, so you make mistakes your whole life."
Right.
You brought him a title.
Right.
He was telling you. If that wasn't the clue, I don't know what was. Right.
It was. So.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Appreciate it. Yeah, all year they ran World Series riddles through Bryce Harper, through the exact numbers we talked about. His children are named with the World Series. It's just, or the child he had this year. It's, yeah, it's just, it boggles the mind what they do every single season. And it just shows that these athletes are puppets on strings, being told what to do, when to procreate. I'm sure they're doing C-sections, probably, getting pregnant under the full moon, and doing all sorts of occult, esoteric shit that most people don't even think about. But it's just undeniable how these rituals are performed on the dates in the calendar and how everything syncs up perfectly every single time. It's mind-blowing. And, hold on. Caller, 1 second. I'm going to put you on. I just want to make a point real quick. I want to remind people that the logo of the Masons is a capital G with instruments of geometry, which is math. The word math is 42. The word Freemason is 42. And for a while in that game, you had a score of 4-2. Big number with these people. The capital G, that's the 7th letter. There's a cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. 7 times 6 is 42. That capital G represents 42. What's up, caller?
Yeah, Zach, this is Denham again.
What's up, man?
Dave Martinez picked up his 187th win as Nationals manager.
That's the point I was going to make once I was done with the phone calls. Yeah, that was something we talked about, that he'd get his 187th win. Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know you talked about it. Okay.
Yeah, we are. It's already all in my notes, man. You must not be on Patreon. What?
Of course I'm on Patreon. I didn't see that, though.
It's right on the notes, man. We've been talking about it all week, that if he wins the series, he gets 187.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all right, man. Anyway. Here, I'll even just pull up my notes real quick. I know it's on there. We've been talking about it. I've done a note for literally all 7 games of the World Series. Hold up. Dave Martinez, the managers are down at the bottom. So Martinez is 186 and 154 all-time. This is coming into tonight's game. Washington, D.C., 187. Zach Greinke, 187. Zach Greinke for the postseason, or no, for the entire season is 18-7, literally. That's how perfect it is. Look at this. Zach Greinke, 187, right? Tonight, Dave, he was the starting pitcher. And he came over from Arizona. Look at this, you guys. Arizona, 105. Nationals, 105. Zach Greinke's full name is Donald Zachary Greinke, which equals 105. The Nationals got their 105th win of the season tonight. Masonry is also 105. Masonry, 105. So, yeah. Denham, be careful next time you read the notes to actually absorb the things that are on there, man. Yeah, that 187 was a big sign. A big old sign. So, and notice he was on 186 wins before the biggest win of his life. His name's 186. So he comes in after Game 6, 186, and then he gets 187 for the big Washington, D.C. tribute. And, yeah, that's what I was building up to before the phone call. So at least his phone call was right on time. But, all right. So, again, things we covered so far. Umpires. Donald Trump. NHL, NBA. Rendon. The Houston product. George W. Bush. We're in the middle of George. Okay. So George Bush, we covered that his birthday was July 6th, right? Yesterday, Game 6, back in Houston. 2 games in Houston, 3 in D.C. Game 6 was the first one back in Houston. Houston trying to put away the series, but they couldn't. 115 days. 115th World Series, and who was on the mound? Verlander. Who posed with both Bushes after the 113th World Series, and who all year was synced up with the death of George H.W. and the Skull and Bones rituals. At one point in the postseason, Verlander fell to 14-9 for his career in the postseason. Whoops, typing wrong again. Skull and Bones is 149. Just like how we talked about how the Washington Capitals got the 76th win in their 149th game, synced up with Game 6 yesterday. The Bushes, Skull and Bones, Verlander, and 149 is the 35th prime number. Verlander wears the number 35, right? So, remember earlier this year when Verlander said the balls were juiced? Do you remember that? Juiced balls. My keyboard doesn't work very well anymore. Verlander made this statement about juiced balls. And the day that he made the statement, all the media was emphasizing juiced balls, everything. CNN, ESPN. And we pointed out that day, we said, remember this story, man, because it's like, it's going to end up being some sort of humiliation ritual for him. Because what is he doing? He's going against the cultural, norm to not argue with authority, to just put up with authority and the rules and not question it. But his name, that thing, juiced balls, 35, like his jersey number. Caller.
Yeah, Zach, it's John again, calling in. What's funny about the Skull and Bones? Guess what else is 41? Halloween is 41.
Yeah, I know that, man.
Just to let you know on that point, yeah.
Yeah, I talked about that tonight on the radio show.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. All right, man, take care. Okay. I love when people make discoveries and then they share them with me. I mean, the thing is, you guys, I've been decoding like literally nonstop for 6 years straight, so it's hard to show me something that I haven't seen before, but I do love you guys making the discoveries. Because once upon a time, that's how it was for me. Back in the day, I did a video on the whiteboard. Check this out, you guys. And I just did it by hand, how Halloween sums up to 41 using the code. Because back then, I didn't even know about online calculators. And for those of you who wonder about this website I'm showing, if you don't know the story of this website, somebody came across my sports work, thought it was lunatics. He built a calculator for him to use so that he could quickly go things and disprove what I was doing. But instead, he found that, oh my God, this is exactly what's going on. And then he built this public version of the calculator so everybody could use it. So the guy who built this website started out as a hater. And in a way, he's also kind of become a hater again. So that might just be his personality type. But anyway. They code the same numbers and rituals all year. That's the point I'm trying to make about that. So George W. Bush, if you haven't seen the photo of Verlander and bushes, I'm sure this will, well, hopefully this pulls up him in the bushes, but hold on. Yeah, here they are. This is after the 113th World Series. And by the way, we called that World Series in August, you know. This article was written about it to make fun of it. This article right here. Wacko YouTuber approves. This was the second time the mainstream media wrote like a feature article about me calling the sports championship. But hold on. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach? So
What's up?
Isn't it funny that the fall guy for the Astros is the only guy who honored Tyler Skaggs, who recently died from the Angels this year?
Who is the fall guy?
Was it Smith? No,
Oh, the pitcher who gave up the runs?
yeah, the 2 home runs back-to-back nights, yep.
That is interesting. And then we saw the manager just go to the Angels on October 16th, 1016, and got the 116th World Series upcoming. That's a narrative to keep in mind.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just found that really, very interesting there. It was like, that's the death of the Astros right there.
Indeed, yeah, that's a great observation. I didn't catch that, so good one.
Symbolism. Yeah, I was texting you throughout the night. I know you were busy, but quite interesting.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, Zach.
Appreciate it. Okay, but this article was written because in August of 2017, not only did I call what day Texas would flood, before it flooded, because remember it flooded a few days after the storm made landfall, flooded on the 20-year anniversary of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, whose best-selling album was Texas Flood, plus a whole lot more. But right after that, Fox News ran a story about a woman's house who didn't flood and how she felt like she won the World Series. And then Matt Harvey became the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after the flooding of Harvey. And it was 52 days from the World Series, and hurricane equals 52 and flood equals 52. Hurricane also equals 56 in reverse, and it was the Astros' 56th season. LA was burning at the time, just like it is now, just like how it seems to burn every year around the time of the World Series, since they started their nice playoff stretch that they've been in, which is also all synced up ritual. But that August, I said, water puts out fires, Astros, LA, that's your World Series. Those were both teams I was looking at from the start of the season, and I knew once those narratives came and the way they lined up with the World Series, I said, done deal. Water puts out fire, Astros over Dodgers. And when it was all over, you know, you want to see how funny the movie is? You want to know why a guy named Sean Newell wrote this article? Let's read the article and then I'll show you what it is about Sean Newell that you need to know that name. What you are watching above is, you can't watch this anymore because the channel, or whoa, actually, okay, that channel's still up. Okay, so you can, whoa. What happened? How did we get off it? That's cool. That's actually on a channel that still remains, because they were deleting my channel so fast after June of 2017 that they'd often put 2 strikes on it, and then I'd just move on and create the next channel, because I knew if I made a single other video, they would just take down the channel. Because that's what kept happening. Once I'd get 2 strikes, my next video, they would just strike it, and then that would be it for the channel. So I learned that once I got 2 strikes, just move on and create a new channel. So there's like 2 or 3 channels that still remain from that period where I went through like 12 channels in 2 months or 3 months or whatever it is, because now I'm up to my 19th channel. So anyway, we'll just read this article and then I'm going to show you that guy's name and why they did that. What you are watching above is 8 minutes and 33 seconds of commentary that intends to prove that the World Series in all sports really was rigged. It involves Matt Harvey, Hurricane Harvey, Sports Illustrated, Gematria, an alphanumeric cipher that assigns a numeric value to words and phrases, and Charlie Morton's pitch count. Did you see the rituals they did with Charlie Morton this year on the Rays and the Astros? The video comes courtesy of a guy named Zachary K. Hubbard. That's me. And he is convinced that everything is rigged, which is bullshit. I've never said that everything's rigged. I've said that sports are rigged, news media is rigged, politics is rigged. That's everything to these people because that's the show they control. That's not everything, though. That's the bullshit in the world. I'm showing that the bullshit of the world is rigged. It doesn't make any sense, and people need to wake up to it. And there's ritual murders, like Bregman announcing that his grandfather died exactly 7 months after his birthday before Game 7. Houston 77, DC 77, Secret Society 77. And this goes on sports championship after sports championship, the untimely deaths. Anyway, he writes, news, politics, the weather, sports, everything. And yet the weather's been an admitted military operation since the 1950s. So to point out that what's going on with weather warfare and that the Royal Air Force admitted in the 1950s that they had the ability to induce flash flooding with Operation Cumulus, also known as Operation Witch Doctor. I mean, I don't understand how this can be made fun of at this day and age. You're ignorant to not know these things, period. End of discussion. You're ignorant to not know these things. If you're someone that just goes, conspiracy theory, you're an idiot. It's not conspiracy theory. It's fact. It's admitted technology. You really think it's that hard through chemistry to make moisture gather up in an atmosphere? Just imagine that. Chemistry experiment, chemistry, alchemy, all this stuff, this goes way back. How does that compare with technology like smartphones? I'm live streaming to the whole world right now. You guys are thousands of miles away from me, and maybe with a 15-second delay, it's like you're in the room with me in Washington State. Technology, it makes balls go through hoops to ensure perfect score outcomes. They made a movie about it in the 80s. When the age of Jordan started. That little short, fat, round Zionist. What do you say? What do you say when Jordan came in the league? The NBA is not about, what do you say? It's not about basketball, it's about stars? Yeah, it's about right, especially in this age. You're watching this guy. I love when ESPN covers Kyrie Irving. They're showing the highlights of him dribbling all over the floor. He's fun to watch. He's a Harlem Globetrotter, draining all these buckets. Beautiful shot. And then they're going, but how come his teams don't win? It's like, well, do you remember playing on a team where just one guy did everything and everyone else stood around? How are you supposed to get in a groove? Not that it's like that in pro sports. It's all rigged and fixed. But, for anyone who's played sports, if you ever played with a ball hog, it doesn't help team chemistry. Nobody likes to play with a ball hog. You go play king of the court and, or you go play a pickup game and you get one guy who sucks, but he wants to handle the ball and get stripped every time down the court and throw up bricks. You're like, all right, I understand you watched a lot of Allen Iverson, but you're the furthest thing from it. Pass the fucking ball. You know what I mean? If you've ever had that experience, you can understand why playing with Kyrie Irving, not the best for a team game. Anyway, back to this article. Getting down to the brass tacks, Hubbard posts that the Astros World Series victory was foretold by Matt Harvey's start in Houston, which it was. It absolutely was. Just the pure mockery. Further proof of how well scheduled everything is. The planned weather warfare for the season, the planned World Series, the planned tragedy, and then story of sports redemption. Hello, Hurricane Katrina 2.0. Was foretold by Matt Harvey's start in Houston, which just so happened to be the first start after the Houston area was devastated by Hurricane Harvey. That start, coincidentally, was 52 days before start of World Series. See, he doesn't share the gematria of how these things are, but maybe he... Okay. The reason that matters is because the word flood in gematria equals 52. Houston flooded on a date with 52 numerology on August 27th, which was the 239th day of the year, which is the 52nd prime number. He's just quoting me. And all this is true. It was 27 years to the day... Did I write 27? Maybe it was 27 years. I was thinking 20. I haven't looked at it for a minute. But it was on the day that Stevie Ray Vaughan died in his helicopter crash, whose best-selling album was Texas Flood. In light of these numbers and some other extremely reasonable stuff about the government causing flash floods by doing chemistry in the sky and Charlie Morton recording the final out of Game 7 on his 52nd pitch, it's pretty obvious that baseball is no different than pro wrestling, which is 100% true. But it's not just the games themselves that are rigged. Even things like... See, what's funny is they link this video where I talk about the firing of Joe Girardi by the number 39 and how everything in New York is 39. Just this week in New York, the headlines are LaGuardia opened a $3.9 billion terminal. Well, anyway, then they go on to hire Boone, whose birthday is March 9th, 39. Again, New York's 39, Empire's 39, NY's 39. When you flip the alphabetic order around, NYC's 39. New York, NY's 39. The United Nations 39 floors tall, and a million more things just outside of gematria. You know, New York's birthday, July 26, 1788, date with 39 numerology. George Clinton, both names equal 39, the first governor of New York, born July 26, 1739. You know, but LaGuardia Airport, $3.9 billion. I mean, did you see these headlines this week? $3.9 billion. In New York. And that was revealed yesterday, October 29th, 10 plus 29, 39. Aaron Boone birthday, he's the manager of the Yankees now, March 9th. So they linked this video making fun of me talking about New York and 39 and the firing of Girardi by that number, just like how Derek Fisher once got fired on the 39th day of the year and a million other things. 39 New York that I've covered over the years. And then right after they make fun of this, Aaron Boone gets hired with the March 9th birthday. So it's like, where's the follow-up article? Where's the journalistic integrity? You know, where's the one that says, oh, you know, since USA Today made fun of me with my Super Bowl 50 prediction, which was right on the money, how many things have I hit? And the guy who called in a minute ago, he actually kind of got smarty with me the other day. He's like, you're not doing very good at futures this year. And the reason he said that to me is because people expect perfection from me. Let's think about the futures that I've called this year. Okay, I had the Super Bowl dead on before the season began. Patriots equals 53. Los Angeles equals 53. All day I knew Brady was going to win it at age 41. Super Bowl 41. 53 is the 16th prime. 16 points in Super Bowl 53. Vesica Pisces equals 53, which is the shape of the football. 53 is the 16th prime while you have a 16-week season. I meant to say that earlier but forgot. Anyway, Los Angeles 53, Patriots 53. Plus a whole lot of other things. And we called that before the season began. So that future hit at the beginning of the year. So that's a big one. College basketball. I told people on February 8th to bet on Virginia or Duke to win the college basketball championship. And I knew before the tournament started, based on the fact that the Virginia coach was on 89 losses. Tony Bennett, who's got that singer's name, he was on 89 losses going into the tournament. Tony Bennett's still on 89 losses because there hasn't been any college basketball since then. Tony Bennett, coach stats. I'll just show you this, that he's on 89 losses because this is what we do. Before the tournament began, I said, look, Virginia's Tony Bennett. Here's his record with Virginia, 254 and 89. And I said, okay, Tony Bennett's already on 89 losses before the tournament starts. We're already known it's Virginia or Duke. I said, to me, it looks like it's Virginia. Virginia's 89, Cavaliers is 89. So Tony Bennett goes through the whole tournament, doesn't pick up another loss, and wins the championship. And you see the 118? Again, 118, the number of the year. You know? Some morons have reached out to me about, oh, you were wrong about that 118 thing. It's like, do you know how dumb you got to be to say that to me? You got to be really dumb. Yesterday, Strasburg, who got the MVP of the World Series. Yesterday, Strasburg got his 118th career win, regular season and postseason. Biggest win of his career. Game 6. And again, this whole thing was in tribute to the death of George Herbert Walker Bush. The whole thing. 118. He was number 41. When you write out 41. 118. Skull and Bones. 41. They get their symbolism from an ossuary, the way to bury the dead with the skull and the bones on the top. The thigh bones crossed and the skull. Ossuary 118. But, anyway, this article was written, USA Today. They wrote this article before Super Bowl 50. Conspiracy theorist proves. Isn't that, it's just because they know it's a program term, conspiracy theorist. The brain dead moron sees it and goes, oh, this is something exposing some dumbass. Super Bowl 50 in October got all of this right. Broncos over Panthers. Von Miller the MVP, which he was. I said Cam Newton would be the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl across the sideline from Peyton Manning, because that year the Super Bowl was in the Bay Area. That's where the Black Panther Party was established in 1966, the year of the first Super Bowl season. 1966. Huey P. Newton started the Black Panther Party. Cam Newton, the biggest star ever of the Panthers. Newton. I said he's going to be the 58th quarterback to start in the Super Bowl because Huey P. Newton's 58 and Oakland's 58 and Golden State's 58. And by the way, we had Golden State to lose tonight. I know they did. They were down 50-19 and almost came back. Talk about scripting, man. San Francisco 50. Anyway, I said Cam Newton will be the 58th quarterback to start in the Super Bowl. It'll be a defensive battle. Von Miller, number 58, who was one pick after Cam Newton, will be the MVP. I said there'll be a tribute to Super Bowl 24. That's where the 49ers wasted the Broncos 55-10. Elway was 55 years old at the time of Super Bowl 50. The Super Bowl was in San Francisco. Broncos go on to win with 24 points. And I said there would be a Black Panther tribute at the Super Bowl. Beyonce got criticized as dressing up for a Black Panther. And for calling all that, this is the article that gets written about me. Let's cover this article that was written. I want you to see how bullshit this is. In a way, it was nice that they mentioned me just to get more people to the work. But in light of what I had done, I just want you to read the way this article's written. And let's see the element of truth that it presents. Folks, I just went down a rabbit hole so deep I don't know if I'll ever... Oh, shit. Hold on. Before we go into this article, I forgot to tell you what was up with that name, Sean Newell, who wrote the article making fun of me about the Astros World Series in 52. Notice Sean Newell's 52. He's the author of the article from Vice Sports making fun of my Astros prediction for the 113th World Series over the Dodgers, which happened and was correct. They get a dude with a name who equals 52 to make fun of me. I'm going to show you what's up with this guy who wrote the USA Today article too. But it's not an accident. And if you pay attention to your favorite news sources online, you might notice that there's a ton of different names that are used, and you might be like, I'm not even sure I've seen that name before. Use this code and decode the key elements of the story and pay attention to how often the supposed author of the story, their name syncs up with the key details gematria. It's like clockwork. So anyway, this guy, different guy, this isn't Sean Newell, this is Ryan Phillips, who we'll get to. He writes this article. We're going to read the whole thing because the last paragraph's the reason we're going to read this trash article through. Folks, I just went down a rabbit hole so deep I don't know if I'll ever find my way out. I swallowed the red pill and I am stuck wondering, why, oh why didn't I take the blue pill? I guess that's a nice, I guess his opening and his end is good, but the rest is just bullshit in between, which totally downplays everything that I did that season. A man calling himself Zachary K. Hubbard and realized that people in the media use fake names. I don't. That is my name. Anyone can verify that I am a real person. Washington State. If that is his real name, put together 4 videos, each lasting almost 15 minutes. That's because back then they always kept my channel on 2 strikes, so you could only do videos up to 15 minutes. You couldn't do that unlimited length video, so I always had to do things in parts. So it was an hour presentation broken down into 15 minutes each. In order to explain how the Freemasons, and by the way, well, the reason they used to have a bigger, fancier article with all the videos linked, but they got rid of that because the video links don't work anymore. They're broken. So it was nice because the actual USA Today article, it was flashier, and it actually linked my YouTube channel. And then that guy, I think his name's Nick Wright on Fox Sports, when he was attacking me on Twitter, he was posting my videos too, which was actually decent. Anyway, in order to explain how the Freemasons rigged both the AFC and NFC championship games, and again, it's logical to say that Freemasonry is behind this. They're credited with the creation of the sports. They use this code of letters and numbers because they're based in Kabbalah, you know. And again, everything just lines up season after season. It's how we continue to call the championships right before they happen. Using numbers related to gematria, which is apparently something that exists. See, that's a bullshit. I mean, is he a journalist? Just research. Does it exist? Yeah, it's practiced a lot within Judaism. And have you ever noticed who a lot of these owners are? Have you ever noticed who a lot of the commissioners of the leagues are? I wish I could peek behind the computer for all my trolls, because I'm pretty sure I'd look right into the office of the ADL and things like that. But he writes, Hubbard goes through a dizzying explanation. I got to admit, tonight's explanation might have been a little bit dizzying. But I'm trying to keep it as understandable as possible. Anyway, Hubbard goes through a dizzying explanation of how everything in both games was a farce with a completely scripted outcome. They were. By the way, he changed his opinion that the fix was in and the Patriots were the team that was going to benefit from the Freemasons' nefarious ways. That's not true. That's not true. A lot of people were saying, Zach, there's no way the Broncos are going to beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship. You're going to be wrong, including my dad. My dad thought that I was going to be humiliated with this pick. He couldn't believe it when the Broncos won. I said, it's because it's all fixed, man. I said, look at it. I mean, yeah, he is washed up and done, but it's all scripted, man. He's going to ride off into the sunset. His dad, you know, he played for the Aints and suffered all these years. Now his sons just get to be the greatest things there ever were right after Tom Brady. Eli and Peyton and Archie Manning. In case you don't know your football history. Just like when the Saints won their first Super Bowl ever, they did it against Archie Manning's son, Peyton Manning, who ended the game by lofting a floater to the secondary in a pass that would never be thrown by somebody who's paid millions of dollars to throw a football. You know, I never thrown a football that bad in my life. These NFL, you can just, I mean, it's just a joke you can just see when the quarterbacks, when it's a scripted turnover play, standing in the pocket, flat feet flat, holding the ball down here to get sacked for a strip fumble, or, you know, I can't talk. Strip fumble. It's just, you can just see when it's just scripted crap. It's like, there's no way these guys are that dumb. You're really going to become flat-footed in the NFL with guys who run, you know, 4.5 40s and weigh nearly 400 pounds? No way, man. You're going to be on your toes, ready to move, not standing there like you're a piñata. Aaron Rodgers did one of those earlier this year in the only game he lost. You know. Anyway. But I did a video before the game, and I said I could be wrong. I said, you know, because some people are leaving comments like, should I bet all this money on the Broncos? Look, if you don't feel comfortable with it, I could be wrong. Everyone thinks I'm going to be wrong. I did a video like that. And I showed a narrative. I said, okay, Patriots have a shot, but all year I've been saying Broncos, Panthers, Von Miller, the whole riddle. So, anyway, that's bullshit just writing that. Because, first of all, he's not acknowledging everything that I've been talking about since October, you know, like earlier than this time. And the reason we saw it was because of what they did in the news that year. They just gave it away through a variety of news stories, just like they do every year if you catch it. But he writes this, and the Patriots were the team that was going to benefit from the free... I mean, it's just a bullshit sentence. He neglects everything that we did and then states something that's not factual. He now realizes it was Barzini the Broncos all along. He just needed to recalibrate some numbers that were staring him in the face. I mean, that paragraph is just such bullshit compared to the truth of what went on. And it's just like the article that was recently written on Rationale Wiki about me, which is like the Wikipedia page that goes after conspiracy theorists. And mostly the people attacked on there are people that are well-known, who've been around for decades, who have millions of followers, who have very popular books. But they wrote a long one about me, which is just such bullshit. And those cocksuckers should update it with the fact that we just called another World Series before it happened, before the postseason began, with the right outcome where everyone thought that the Astros were unbeatable. You know? And again, by the same damn numbers we call it by every single year. Always ends up being 57. Just like how we said Vanderbilt in the College World Series for the same reason. 57-year-old manager, 57th win. So then he goes on, yeah, you can laugh all you want, but Hubbard's brand of crazy is thoroughly convincing. Obviously, the Freemasons are in control of everything. Again, see, just exaggerated. Not everything, but they are in control of government and media and entertainment. They're not in control of me right now. You know, they want to be. That's why they keep taking the channel down. And again, it's not just Freemasonry, too. There are other secret societies. You know, there's Rosicrucians, there's Jesuits, there's Knights Templar, there's Knights of Malta, but they're all Masonic at the core. And don't forget, Scottish Rite, nation's capital. Scottish Rite, American football. Scottish Rite, baseball. So anyway, he goes on, we all know they are trying to start a massive race war, and that's what I was on to that year, showing how that's why they were going to have the Black Panther versus the White Bronco, and the washed-up old white guy beat the black guy, which would never happen in reality. Can you imagine being in grade school and having to choose between washed-up Peyton Manning, who never would have been good without the NFL scripting anyway, college is scripted too. Undeniably, we already covered that earlier in the video. You know, how many more college sports championships do I need to murder? Who was here when I called North Carolina over Gonzaga before the tournament began, and it would be all about 71, and North Carolina won the tournament with 71 points. Gonzaga 71, you know, Gonzaga Bulldogs 71, March Madness 71, Catholic 71. The bracket that year came out on the 71st day of the year. But I mean, we just have so many calls, but some that are just so specific where we nailed the number. Anyway, Freemasonry and universities, again, public universities, government. So, anyway, this guy should have wrote a bunch of follow-up articles since this, because we've called pretty much every Super Bowl correctly from the start of the season or months in advance. Nearly every other sports championship, NBA, MLB, called all sorts of things. Golf futures, you know, triple crowns. We got both triple crowns before a single race was run. Again, American Pharaoh, American 37. It had been 37 years since the last Triple Crown. That's the 12th prime. American Pharaoh became the 12th Triple Crown winner. And then the next Triple Crown winner, that was the 144th year that it was possible, and Triple Crown equals 144. So, killed horse racing. We've killed everything with this knowledge when we've applied the time and knowledge. And it can be expanded so much further. That's why I'm trying to build the community on the Patreon page, which we have. There's over 2,000 people there benefiting. But really, I mean, it should be, literally it should be if there's millions of gamblers in this world, every last one should be there. Because they'd be doing a whole hell of a lot better than they're doing right now. Guaranteed. So. But this guy goes on. We all know they are trying to start a massive race war. Why else would the White Broncos be facing the Black Panthers in the biggest sporting event of the year? Pull the wool from your eyes, sheeple. All 4 videos are posted below, and I'll give you some highlights from each. So, the matchup of the White Bronco, he actually might have decoded a video that wasn't the ones from October, something I did closer to the Super Bowl. I forget now exactly what video he put on there because it was deleted so long ago, but the matchup of the White Bronco and the Black Panthers clearly reflects what's going on in the world. It absolutely was. That was the year you had the players doing the hands up, don't shoot protests. Hubbard proves that all scores, broadcasts, and points in the game are all carefully coordinated and scripted. Of course they are. Here, let's go over my favorite highlight of this current NFL season so far. And there's a lot we could do. But my favorite one this year, being up here in Washington State, watching the people, mope around town when the Seahawks lose. It was the Saints-Seahawks game. And by the way, that was Teddy Bridgewater right after the fake Drew Brees injury, which they showed you in super slow-mo, super HD, where his thumb never impacts Aaron Donald, but they tell you he injured his thumb, just making a fool of you, acting like you have eyes that you can't even see with for yourself. They have to tell you through the TV what your eyes aren't seeing. But anyway, we had Teddy Bridgewater to win that game. Saints and Seattle both equal 44. Saints became 4-4 in Seattle. Plus, it was all synced up with Teddy Bridgewater's name. It was amazing. Just shows you how planned the ritual was. But anyway, in that game, they showed a highlight of what's known as the Beast Quake. That's where Marshawn Lynch in the playoffs, where the Seahawks had a 7-9 record, beat the top-seeded Saints in Seattle on a long run. I believe it was a 67-yard run, the 19th prime, Seattle 19. So they show that highlight, right? And literally as soon as the highlight ends, the Seahawks have the ball. Like as soon as the highlight ends, Russell Wilson's calling hike, snapping the ball to the running back, who takes off for a 33-yard run, only to get tackled at the end and have the ball punched out. Saints defender picks it up and runs it back for a touchdown, right? So you're going from, as a Seahawks fan who just live in Seahawks football, you watch this great highlight, considered one of the best highlights in the history of the NFL. If they do an NFL countdown, they'll say that's one of the top 20 plays in NFL history. So the Seahawks are reliving this great moment. Then all of a sudden the highlight ends at, wow, a 33-yard run. I mean, how many runs are 33 yards or longer over the course of an NFL season for a running back? They'd be lucky to have 10 runs like that over the course of the year. So to average one of those almost every other game. You look at a lot of running backs, by the end of the season, they might have 5 runs over 30 yards for the whole year. They might not even have any. And so you're talking about a very slim chance play coming out of the highlight of this very long historic run. And then it turns into a turnover and a defensive touchdown. So you go from like the sports high of feeling good in a moment to, wow, another good moment, to, oh my God, the worst thing that could possibly happen. And then right after that, the Saints put up some quick points and they take a huge lead. It was a close game before that. All of a sudden they have like a 3-score lead. And Russell Wilson at that point then drives him down the field and rushes the ball in for a touchdown. And as soon as he crosses the goal line, they put up the stat of the last time Russell Wilson had a rushing touchdown. And I did a video on this already, I did a video on it the moment it happened. And I said, look at this. They have this stat ready to go right away, and the last time Russell Wilson had a rushing touchdown was 666 days ago. 666, the number of the beast, in a game where all they can talk about is the Saints-Seahawks playoff game that ended with the Beastquake. By the way, Beast equals 47. Seattle's on the 47th parallel. If you watch the movie Rosemary's Baby, which is about the Beast, Rosemary gets raped by the Beast in the 47th minute of the film. His name's Adrian in the film, which equals 47. But this stuff's not an accident. It is sick. It's like when Pete Carroll got his 82nd win with Seattle. Seattle equals 82 with the alphabetic order. The next day, Paul Allen died. Paul Allen was the owner of the team in the Blazers. And that made Pete Carroll the winningest coach in Seattle Seahawks history, surpassing Mike Holmgren when he got the 82nd win. Mike Holmgren, who came out of San Francisco, Seattle and San Francisco both on the 122nd meridian. Pete Carroll surpassed Mike Holmgren 122 days after his birthday. And San Francisco equals 122, so does Golden State. You just had the death of Mark Hurd on October 22nd, the Oracle CEO in the Bay Area. Mark Hurd equals 122. In the video I uploaded, I said, I won't be surprised if the Warriors win with 122 points opening night. Well, I hadn't decoded that game yet, and when I decoded the game, I liked the Clippers to win. Steve Kerr got his 89th loss on the 24th of October. 89 is the 24th prime. I liked him to pick up his 90th loss against the Thunder. Thunder 90. Steve Kerr got his 90th coaching loss against the Thunder. I liked him to get his 91st loss tonight against Phoenix. Phoenix equals 91. You see how this is going? Anyway, again, just a reminder that all the world of sports is scripted. But when I said that comment, I was recording off my phone in a parking lot waiting for my lady who was at the doctor's office. And I hadn't decoded the game, but I just said in the video, which I played the other day, I said, I won't be surprised if they win with 122. Well, they didn't win, but they lost with 122 points, and I expected them to lose by game time. But then when they lost with 122, I was like, there it is again. Because the Warriors, their games so often finish with 122, because Golden State's 122, or 121, because Warriors is 121, or 108, because Oracle's 108, their old stadium, just like the Oracle CEO died. Golden State Warriors is also 108. The first year they beat the Cavs, they won Game 1 with 108 points. That game went to overtime 98-98. National Basketball Association's 98. It was 98 days after they'd last played the Cavs and the Warriors in the regular season. And that was the first year I made a prediction on the NBA Finals, and I said it'll be Warriors and Cavs based on that game, and the Finals starting 98 days later. And a lot of people made fun of that video, saying that was the dumbest thing they'd ever heard. And then they came back, some of them, and said, well, I guess you were right. I thought it was going to be the Bulls this year, not the Cavs. I was like, not in King James's court. And then, again, Gematria pays big. Remember when everybody won cars? Cavs were down 3-1. I said King James's birthday is Game 7. I've told you all year the Cavs are going to win it in Game 7. They're going to come back from 3-1. The odds were 30-1. Too bad the channels were deleted, because there literally were back then hundreds of thousands of views, 10,000 comments, tons of people saying, man, I never seen anything like this. I never won like this before. Anyway. The point is, the assholes who write these articles, so many correct predictions, all they do is talk shit, all they do is downplay, all they do is muddle the truth. This is what the mainstream media is. This is all the mainstream is. The mainstream media is nothing but bullshit. If you've never seen the movie Network, it's one of the most important movies made from Hollywood. Hollywood puts out pure propaganda, but they put out 2 movies that everybody should watch, Network and Wag the Dog. Network is one, watch it. Wag the Dog is another. Watch it. You'll know all you need to know about the news. Any idiot who goes, oh, that's just a Hollywood movie, realize that person's an idiot. No, it's a movie that told you exactly everything about your future and what the news would be. That's why they put out the truth in movies for idiots, because they'll go, oh, that you just saw that in a movie. Oh, so what? That doesn't mean it's possible, even though it makes perfect sense, and that's what we observe every single day in reality? You know what I mean? He makes fun of this point that I wrote here. On February 2nd, the 33rd day of the year, the People vs. O.J. Simpson debuts, and the main object in the ads for the show is the white Ford Bronco. O.J. Simpson, a football player, black and white symbolism of black man in a white Bronco, in light of the fact that in October you're saying there's going to be a Panthers and Broncos Super Bowl. You think that's a coincidence? And then that comes out right around the same time. The Super Bowl that year was on February 7th, the 38th day of the year. Colorado equals 38. Colorado's the 38th state. Panthers equals 38. The Patriots beat the Panthers in Super Bowl 38. And it was the golden anniversary. Gold equals 38. Hosted by the 49ers, named after the gold rush. February 7th was the date of the Super Bowl where... So this came out 5 days before the Super Bowl. So then he makes fun of more things. The Panthers went for 2 late in the game to give them 42 points, and the reason was completely racist. I'll let him explain it, but the gist is the Freemasons want to start a race war. You see, he makes fun of this. Wouldn't someone with a brain go, maybe he has a point, because the only 2 black quarterbacks to ever win the Super Bowl, one played for the Washington Redskins and won the game with 42 points. And then the other was Russell Wilson, who plays in Washington State. And Washington is the 42nd state in order of statehood. Seahawks also equals 42. He makes fun of the fact that I point out that the movie Jerry Maguire foreshadowed this entire postseason, and it did. It did. You even had a death of one of the actors from that movie around the time of this Super Bowl. Remember at the end, the friend, is it his brother? I can't remember now. Cuba Gooding Jr. By the way, Cuba Gooding Jr., his name is Tidwell in that movie, right? Tidwell, the football player, Tidwell, with the alphabetic order 85. That's his jersey number in that movie. And Rod Tidwell is 122 and 50 and 58. I didn't know reverse gematria back then. I only knew these two ciphers. I've actually never typed this in at the time I knew reverse. But that's funny because I was saying about how Cam Newton would become the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. Because Huey P. Newton, 58. Oakland, 58. But Rod Tidwell, 122 and 50, like San Francisco. These are the things I was pointing out back then. San Francisco's on the 122nd Meridian. They were once 5-0 in Super Bowls. They're hosting Super Bowl 50. They encoded in that movie their planned NFL ritual for that year. And who could deny it? I mean, I called it all perfectly. How could you say, oh, he got lucky? And then what, I've got lucky how many times since? I mean, you have to be a moron to think that I get lucky. I'm not a lucky person, first of all. I mean, you wouldn't know that about me, but I'm not. I have horrible luck. What I do is from knowledge and skill, period. And hard work. That's the other ingredient. Hard work. That's a big ingredient. A lot of time put in. But, he makes fun of that I brought up the fact about Peyton Manning's Omaha chant directly tied to the Omaha plant feed explosion at the same time that he was doing the Omaha fundraiser. That is the way things work. That's how they make information viral. You got a viral story about, Peyton Manning in Omaha, and then you have an Omaha plant explosion. I don't even want to keep reading this shit. I just want to get to the last paragraph here. So anyway, after he goes through making fun of everything, he writes, once you look at all the facts, everything falls into place. Although I do have one beef with Hubbard, well, one beef, other than the fact that he believes the Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax. See how he had to bring that up? And I don't want to get this whole video taken down, but again, Sandy Hook equals 112. The shooter's name was Adam Lanza, initials A-L, with the alphabetic order A1, L12, 112. Adam Lanza's birthday is April 22nd, which is the 112th day of the year. April 22nd. I mean, does that even look like a real person? 112. And again, the Sandy Hook massacre was the same as the Dunblane massacre, which got gun rights taken away in the UK, which was March 13th, 96. That was the 73rd day of the year, because 96 was a leap year. 3 plus 13 plus 96 is 112. Adam Lanza, 112 pounds. Do a web search for this. USA Today points out Adam Lanza's 112 pounds. Wikipedia has him at 112 pounds. New York Times, 112 pounds. Some local news source, 112. And it looks like Google's messed with the way this used to come up. But every single major news stream outlet reported that Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds. Daily Kos, CNN, NPR, Newsweek, everyone. And this is actually the time that I learned gematria, because it reminded me of 9/11. I was like, it's another number ritual thing. 112 is the emergency dialing code, so is 911. It's got people freaking out, parents in schools. I worked in a school at the time. I worked at a private school in Bellevue, Washington when Sandy Hook happened. I was in a school the day it happened. I saw parents coming in, freaking out early. And I'm like, man, Connecticut? All the way across the country? It's got you tripping like this? I mean, I didn't say that to anybody, but there's a reason they do this stuff. Anyway, there's a whole lot more to Sandy Hook. And by the way, with regards to the Dunblane massacre being on the 73rd day of the year, Sandy Hook's on the 73rd meridian. Adam Lanza's 73. Elementary school is hold on, I gotta type right. Elementary school 73. I can't think right now. There's a whole bunch more. Is it school shooting? Is that what it is? No, I forget. There's something else to 73. Sometimes I forget things. Anyway, so he puts that in there at the end, but what he puts in here at the end is this. So after the Sandy Hook thing, he writes, and about 47,000 other vile things. And I've always educated people about the use of the number 47. Again, 47 is how many degrees is on the Masonic compass. It's in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid, which is about how to establish foundation for a structure. And that's why the first Super Bowl season was the 47th season of the NFL. 47. So he uses that number, which is very big with Freemasonry. And by the way, just everything in D.C. D.C. was laid out by a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason from France named L'Enfant. France is 47. The letters D.C. in reverse is 47. Government is 47. Authority is 47. White House is 47. President is 47. Republican is 47. They came out of the Whig Party, 47. Again, Abraham Lincoln said 77 years ago. He's who created the Republican Party out of the Whig Party. Democrat is 47. You have Trump, the lifelong Democrat who became a Republican in the time of Obama, who took the White House at age 47. You have Trump, 47. You have Ivanka Trump, 47. And The Simpsons have a cartoon about Ivanka running for president in 2028. That's the year she'll turn 47. So anyway, he does that at the end of his thing. And then, did they get rid of it? Oh shit. The problem with this updated article is they got rid of the link. So when this was on the, or never mind, it's still here. I have my blue light blocking glasses, so I couldn't see this. So they still have it linked. I can't show this because I'll get a copyright strike. But it's the Simpsons. It's the Simpsons episode about the stonecutters, which pays tribute to Freemasonry. You really should watch this clip. But this song won an Emmy. I think that's the right award it won. We Do. And it's about, if you listen to this song, it's about how Freemasons control it all. Entertainment, just everything. Just watch this clip. They talk about aliens and all that. Keep in mind the alien thing was 1947 in New Mexico, the 47th state. But the name of the song that they sing is called We Do. I wish I could show the clip. That's why I hate this world, like with the copyright and shit. It's like, look, if you put creative content out there and you want people to watch it, I mean, just let people share the shit, man. Especially if you're fucking the guy who's the Simpsons. I mean, and these networks that are worth billions of dollars. It's because they're so rich because they're so fucking greedy. Because they just steal everything from the populace. The populace can't use anything. We can't show the 20-second clip of your cartoon. Anyway. It's just garbage. By the way, I've never had a channel taken down for copyright strikes because I don't even try to mess with it. I've tried to show like 5 seconds of a movie and gotten taken down for a copyright strike. That's why you got to look at some of these channels that have like 500,000 subscribers and they're showing like 5-minute sections of movies. I'm like, what the hell? I can't even show like a 5-second clip of anything. This guy showed half a Terminator. I need to get my notepad back out. I am so off topic. Well, at the same time, I guess I'm still on topic too, but looks like my camera's back. We're live. Okay, good. We're working. So my oh my. We still got to talk about George Herbert Walker Bush and Steve Scalise. All right, let me close up some windows. No presentation's complete without a little Adam Lanza. Maybe we should hit September 11th while we're at it too. It's crazy that we live in an age where just saying things like Sandy Hook, September 11th, like that probably just sent a memo to like 20 FBI officers, desktops. Whoa, we just had a, whatever code number they got for it. A 9/11-112 truther talking about Sandy Hook. Deploy Lenny Posner. But I mean, isn't it crazy the age we live in? Just like how there's algorithms like listening and picking up and your video also just got shoved to the bottom of the YouTube shit pile. So I knew this day was coming, though. I said that when I started speaking out nonstop in 2013. I said we got to seize the moment. The censorship's about to get super hardcore because they started doing it right after Sandy Hook. I mean, I've lost a lot of my channels because of Sandy Hook just for saying the words. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop saying them. I'm not a t-shirt salesman. I'll come back and rebuild my channel and let YouTube say there's only 3,000 people here all day. Isn't it amazing how when the channel was at nearly 100,000 subscribers, the videos got the same amount of views they get now, which is, again, almost nothing. And again, for 2 years ago before my channel got deleted, I got a lot of views. But ever since the new algorithms and stuff, it's like, it's hard to get views. I guess the last channel, I did get a few videos that had a few 100,000 views, and the one on Bush's death had over 500,000 views. It's too bad that video's not on YouTube anymore. That was the only video I ever made that really made people... Well, that and the death of McCain and the death of Aretha Franklin. For whatever reason, those 3 events got a lot of people to buy books. Maybe they really shoved me down, because after that I haven't been able to sell books. A good day's been like selling 5 books, but most days only about 2 copies of the book sell. Maybe 3 if I'm lucky. Anyway, let's go back and talk about the death of old George Herbert Walker Bush, number 41 on November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41. That's the day Paul Walker died. Remember, Paul Walker starred in the Skulls. He died in a red Porsche. He drove a red Porsche in the Skulls about Skull and Bones. Paul Walker, George Herbert Walker Bush, George Walker Bush. November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41. Skull and Bones, 41. And when Bush died, let me see if I can pull up a good post here. I gotta close some of these windows though. My computer's getting hot. Let's see. Prescott, hold on. Bush, let's see what that pulls up. Okay, so 147, big number we talked about tonight with the presidency and Freemasonry and the World Series. So the death of Prescott Bush. He died on his 147th day of his age, and his son would go on to be president. Remember, U.S. President 147, President of the United States 147, 147 windows on the White House. The day that Prescott Bush died, it was October 8th. That's the 281st day of the year, October 8th. Like how his son, H.W., died in Houston, where the World Series just ended, the 281 area code. And William Huntington Russell, when he died, he's the founder of Skull and Bones, he died 281 days after his birthday. Verlander, with all the Skull and Bones rituals, he lost this year on the 281st day of the year. Was that against Tampa Bay? I'm trying to remember. I think that was against Tampa Bay where he lost. And then he became 14-9, another Skull and Bones number, Skull and Bones 149. So Verlander, he just followed the Skull and Bones rituals perfectly through the postseason. Started the postseason by becoming 22-6 for the year, 226 days after his birthday. His whole season was perfectly scripted. But check this out. From George H.W. Bush's birthday to the year that Prescott Bush died on October 8th, it was 118 days from his son's birthday. George Herbert Walker Bush, 118. Okay, when you write out 41, 118. When you write out ossuary, 118. Skull and Bones gets its symbolism from an ossuary. And I must have wrote Skull and Bones down. No? Here, we'll just do it again for good measure. Skull and Bones. Alphabetic order and rules of numerology is 41. And so anyway, George Herbert Walker Bush loses his dad 118 days after his birthday. And George W. Bush, from his birthday to the death of Prescott, was 94 days. Like how his dad would go on to die at age 94. And when you write out 94, it equals 147. Like U.S. President, like President of the United States. And when George W. Bush's father died at age 94, from his birthday to his father's death was his 147th day of his age. Another good one is that when Prescott Bush died, he was 77 years old. Again, when the Nationals eliminated the Cardinals, they did it on the day leaving 77 days left in the year, and they gave the Cardinals their 77th loss of the season. Washington, D.C. is on the 77th meridian, known as the American Meridian. Secret Society is 77, so is United States, so is Power, so is Sheldon. That's part of his name. Prescott Bush. Prescott Sheldon Bush. Where'd he go? Right here. Houston equals 77, DC 77. So that was that. You know, isn't it amazing how repetitive these numbers are? Don't forget in the 33rd television episode of Batman, the 33rd episode, that's where the character says that Bruce Wayne's grandfather started Skull and Bones at Yale. Think about in the Dark Knight film how they show the 3-2-2 in the football stadium. It is getting late. I am talking a lot. And all this from my little notepad where I got like 8 words written down. Anyway. And I could just go on all day, man. I really could. Let's see. Steve Scalise. Let's close it up with Steve Scalise. He's the cherry on top. Steve Scalise, man. I'm searching on the wrong thing here. All right. So I got old posts on Steve Scalise, but here was a recent one that I presented on October 11th. So 19 days ago, did this presentation. I talked about how this presentation was really creepy because Donald Trump just couldn't stop gushing over how good looking the little boys were on the LSU Little League World Series team. He couldn't get off it. You are just so handsome. You are just so... He just kept saying it. I was like, oh my God, dude, this is getting creepy. How many times are you going to compliment them on their physical appearance? You know, one time. What a talented team. What an even handsome looking team. I mean, that'd be cool. But to not get off it and just keep repeating how handsome they are and go on and on about it, I mean... Anyway. Hey, by the way, Rupert Murdoch. No, not Rupert Murdoch. What's his name? What's the fat one's name? Fox News guy, Republican strategist who died. Oh, not Karl Rove. When's he going to die? God, what's his name? The Fox News guy. The guy who supposedly is the man that was the brains behind making Trump the president, which is a joke. He was born for the throne from the time he was born. That Trackdown episode came out when he was a child that foreshadowed his presidency. I can't think of that fat guy's name that ran Fox News who died right around the time Trump became president. He died May 18th, the 138th day of the year. Like Donald Trump 138, like Nationals 138, like Federal 138, like Dave Martinez 138, like the Nationals knocking out the Cardinals in their 138th season, like Game 7 being 138 days after Trump's birthday. The fat guy, the brains behind Fox News, I can't believe I can't think of his name right now. He died on the 138th day of the year. They just made a show about it with Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe plays the part of the character on I forget what the name of the show is. It's on one of the primetime networks. I think Showtime, HBO maybe. Might be called The Loudest Voice. But anyway, this speech right here. Trump's gushing over how good the boys are, how good looking they are, and then he starts talking about the World Series, the Little League World Series, and the shooting of Steve Scalise. And I was like, oh shit! Steve Scalise was shot during the time of the 115th Congress. I knew it was synced up with the World Series that year, the year the Astros won it. The day of the Steve Scalise shooting, the Astros beat the Rangers 13-2, those same two teams connected to the Bushes. And the Braves beat the Nationals 13-2. 13-2, like 132 rooms in the White House. That game was 132 days before the start of the World Series that year, which the Astros won over the Dodgers. And so anyway, just check this out. That shooting was on June 14th, Trump's 71st birthday. It was a date with 57 numerology. World Series is 57. Scottish Rite's 57. Nationals is 57. And from the day of that shooting to the start of this year's World Series was 861 days, which is the 41st triangular number, like how Scalise equals 41, like how Skull and Bones equals 41. And Trump brought all these things together in his speech in Lake Charles, which equals 41. Notice Skull and Bones and Lake Charles the same in 2 of the 4 ciphers. Steve Scalise's full name equals 105, and I already knew at that time that if the Nationals won the World Series, they'd get 105 wins. Nationals 105. Again, the umpire who died, Eric Cooper, 105. Hold up. There is somebody calling me from Houston, and I have no idea who this would be that would have this number. Let me check this out. Caller?
Roger Ailes.
Roger Ailes. Who is this? How do you have my number?
Because, dude, you give this number out to everybody. I've got all 3 of your numbers.
Okay, that's true. People put my information out all over the place. All right, you don't normally call on this number, though.
No, I know. It's just the one that showed up, so, don't bug out.
Roger Ailes, though. That is his name. Roger Ailes.
Yes, Roger Ailes.
All right, appreciate it, man.
No problem.
All right,
Take
thanks.
care.
Roger Ailes, that's his name. Here, I'll show you. I know he died May 18th because I remember covering it when it did happen. It was on one channel deleted many moons ago. Dead May 18th, 2017. 138th day of the year. Donald Trump, federal, nationals. It's also the day leaving 227 days left in the year. That's the 49th prime. Scottish is 49. Ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry is 227. Maxwell M. Scherzer. He just has a middle initial for a name. He doesn't have a middle name like these Masons. His full name's 227. But I forget. Just for kicks, I got to go back and see how many days that was after inauguration. Well, wait a minute. This is simple math, isn't it? January 20th to May 18th. That must be 118 days later, the death number. Let's just verify. It is the middle of the night. Prone to making math errors. Let's see. May 18th, 2017. The year 2017. Yeah, 118 days. Death, 118. Trump elected on November 8th, 118. But then they announced that he was the winner early November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall 45, like he's number 45. And, all this time I forgot to get to the CNN front page. Just last night, before the World Series finished, I showed how the Washington Nationals and impeachment thing was connected. Impeachment 107, Washington Nationals 107. Game 6, the Astros fell to 10-7 in the postseason, where the Nationals became 11-5 in the year of the 115th World Series. But coming back to Steve Scalise, again, 105. And again, I put this out for free. Like, I normally give people sports picks on Patreon, but on October 11th, I just told people, this is the World Series narrative right here. And it's all skull and bones. It's all ritual. If you watch this video tomorrow tomorrow I'm talking you might watch it tomorrow. If you watch this video tomorrow or the day after or a year from now, or who knows, maybe somehow it's archived in cyberspace and it's 100 years from now. And I guess it wouldn't matter if it's 100 years from now, but whatever. Just call Steve Scalise's office and say, hey, Steve, you've been exposed, man. That's wrong that you take taxpayer money and pretend like you're shot. Who you know in Skull and Bones. And enjoy your job, because it's not going to last much longer. The revolution's underway. That's what needs to happen. But, by the way, this was the Astros' 58th season. Bush equals 58. George W. Bush, 58. It all started here. Here was the first game we caught on to this year. April 20th, 2019, before the game was played. Rangers were a big underdog at home against the Astros. I said, here is the play of the day. Rangers got this game. It's a tribute to George Herbert Walker Bush. Today's the 110th day of the year. It's Adolf Hitler's birthday, April 20th. Adolf Hitler 110, President 110, Bushes and Nazis, synonymous. And I said, just watch. This game will be a tribute to George Herbert Walker Bush dying at age 94. I didn't know the score was going to be 9-4, but I said the Rangers will become 9-4 at home, and they'll become 11-8 for the season. George Herbert Walker Bush, 118, dead at age 94. And the Bush family used to run the Rangers. Bam. Sure enough. And adding insult to injury, you get a score of 9-4. It made the Astros 7-7 away as well. Houston equals 77. Made them 13-7 for the season. Washington, D.C. 137. Government 137. Authority 137. This game right here actually foretold that it was the Rangers and Astros, or not Rangers and Astros, but Astros and Nationals World Series. It was all encoded right here. That 137, that 77. Those are both numbers that connect D.C. and Houston. And that's why if you already know what it's going to be, like some seasons where I already see it before the season begins, when these tributes happen, it just clicks right away. I'm just like, bam, that was the confirmation I needed. Like Eagles and Patriots after week 3 of the 2017 NFL season. But because I didn't quite have the pieces together at the beginning of the season, I was trying to figure it out. I saw this game and this ritual, but I didn't realize that it foretold the World Series. And again, it's why I need a team of people. Because I'd already uncovered these stories of the past. The Steve Scalise shooting out was synced up with the World Series. 115th Congress. Had there been a team of us, I know we would have brought it together a lot sooner. We got it before the postseason began, but really we should have figured this out April 20th. It's the day we should have figured it out. From that game to the start of the World Series was 185 days. Steve Scalise, 185. Secret Society. Donald John Trump, 185, his full name. And, again, the Boston Bruins, they lost to the Blues in a game that was connected to the Super Bowl, right? You had Boston and the old St. Louis team, the Rams. And then you had Boston and St. Louis, and you had Boston and... you had Boston and Los Angeles Rams in the NFL, Boston and Los Angeles in the World Series. And by the way, in July, before the World Series was set, we said look for Boston to potentially beat LA in Game 5, 99 days before the Super Bowl, which we think will be Boston and LA, because it was the 99th NFL season. Exactly what happened. But this Stanley Cup ended on Bush's birthday, June 12th. Had the Bruins won, Bush is from Milton, Massachusetts, HW, that's where he was born. Had the Bruins won, they would have got their 322nd postseason win. And David Ortiz, that was the time that the story broke out just before that final game about him getting shot, which was all a hoax. He was born on the 322nd day of the year. And Boston lost. The Blues got their 57th win against the Bruins. That big championship number. Just like how the Astros picked up their 57th loss in the postseason tonight. But that was a weird one. It's interesting that Boston didn't get 3-2-2 on Bush's birthday, because that's what was hard about that. I was like, God, it's hard to go against a 57, but this whole 3-2-2 riddle, Stanley Cup had me all messed up because of that. But here's the two scores. Anyone can verify this. June 14th, 2017, Astros beat the Rangers 13-2, 132 rooms in the White House, 132 days before the start of the World Series that year. Braves beat the Nationals 13-2. And with regards to the Braves, let's do this real quick. Geronimo. Tonight a guy called in who said he was the relative of Geronimo to the radio show. Not sure if that was true or not. He also said he was trying to go to Israel. I was like, what? I just let it go. I was like, this guy's confusing me. Is this guy even really related to Geronimo, or I just got somebody calling on here saying nonsense? Anyway. You can watch the video I put out for free. I put it out before the game was played that day, so I get tired of I know it's trolling, but people don't watch videos and they read comments and they believe trolls, which is just sad. That's why trolls do what they do, because it does have an impact. There's a lot of people who get recommended a video, and instead of watching the video, they just go and start to read the comments. And they're like, oh, looks like the comments don't like the video, so maybe it's not that good. Not realizing the video is being trolled to death. But before this game was played, I put it out for free. I put it out, to the public, not just on Patreon. I said, look at what's going on today in the Nationals and Cleveland Indians game. Dave Martinez was going to umpire his 322nd game. You see how this says 321 games? We put this up before the 322nd game was played to document it. The game was September 27th, 2019, against the Cleveland Indians at home. Dave Martinez was on 172 wins and 149 losses. As we've well established, Skull and Bones equals 149. Skull and Bones identifies by the number 322. Here, real quick. Enemy of the state. Well, that's interesting too, but we'll save it for another time. What in the world? Did I skip it? Alright, hold on. I gotta show you something about 149 and 322. Just something that's so easy to verify that anyone can do. Really? There we go. In the film Enemy of the State, which came out on November 18th, the 322nd day of the year, Will Smith checks his watch at 1 hour and 49 minutes into the movie. And I know that that's too small for you to see, but anyone can verify that this is a fact. An hour and 49 minutes into the movie, and some seconds in, but it's within 1 hour and 49 minutes, Will Smith looks at his watch, and the time's 322. Skull and Bones 149, they identify by the number 322. These numbers come together in rituals. Here's one of the easiest ways that you can wake anybody up to, because anyone can get their hands on a movie at this day and age. That's why a lot of times when I pick the examples to share, I'm sharing things that people can go out and do. So, anyway. Coming back to the Steve Scalise thing. Or the Skull and Bones ritual with the Nationals. It was easy to see that in his 322nd game, he would stay on 149 losses, meaning he would win. And because they were playing the Cleveland Indians, I said, okay, this reminds me of Prescott Bush. Remember, the old Washington team was the Senators, like how he was a senator, unlike his sons who became presidents. But he was in Skull and Bones, and the story is that he stole Geronimo's skull and brought it back for the, Yale Skull and Bones souvenir rack. And I said in real time, let's go back and look at the death of Geronimo and just see how it syncs up with today, since the Nationals are playing the Indians. And I said, wow, Geronimo died on February 17th, the 48th day of the year. The day of the ritual was September 27th, 2019, which was a date with a life lesson number of 48. The way you get that is 9 plus 27, the day plus the month, September 27th, which is 36. And then you add the year digit by digit, plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 9. So 36 plus 12, 48. And the Nationals were going for their 48th win at home on the 48-date numerology against Cleveland, a city that equals 48. And they did win that game, and they did get it. Keep in mind, Freemason is 48. Hold on. Freemason is 48. Illuminati is 48. That movie Illuminated, which equals 48, just came out 48 days after the director's birthday about the Illuminati. But anyway, not only did Geronimo die on the 48th day of the year, and not only did the Nationals pick up their 48th win on a 48-date numerology over Cleveland. Did I say that Cleveland equals 48? Cleveland's 48. They picked up the 48th win versus Cleveland. But from the date of Geronimo's death to the date of the game, September 27th, was a span of 223 days, which is the 48th prime. And it's also 3-2-2 in reverse. So, and again, here's what it looked like before that game. Washington had a line of negative 140. You pay attention to gambling lines, you'll see how they're encoded with gematria. Washington's 140. You'll see a lot of DC lines, negative 130. You'll see them at 137, Washington, D.C., 137. But anyway, the next day, Washington got their 49th win over Cleveland. They had to win out there to make the postseason at the end. Washington got the 49th win on the 49 date, and then they got the 50th win on the 50 date numerology. You see how all the ciphers come together? This year in Washington, the state, the Huskies got their first win. The coach got his 140th win of his career by beating Eastern Washington. You know, you saw the WSU game where they gave up the record amount of points in the second half to UCLA to come back. The final score was 67-63 with Gardner Minshew watching, 130 combined points. Jay Gruden just got fired from Washington after picking up his 49th loss. Tom Brady became 5-0 against Washington this year. Etc., etc. But hold on. I think we might have actually gotten through everything we needed to get through. So we covered the deaths of the two umpires whose combined ages equaled 115 during the time of the 115th World Series, plus more. We covered how their names connected to the Washington Nationals. The first umpire's death foretold that the game would end on the day leaving 62 days left in the year in Houston, Texas, which equals 62, and lo and behold, ended with a score of 6-2. Well, I guess we're not in October 30th anymore. It's now October 31st. And we talked about Donald Trump, 138 days from his birthday to the end of the World Series. Donald Trump won 38, Nationals won 38, Dave Martinez won 38. We talked about how in the NBA, the Houston coach D'Antoni got his 631st career win, beating the team from Washington, D.C., the two teams in the World Series. 631's the 115th prime number. Think about it. The guy that's been coaching since the mid-90s gets his 631st win on the most perfect day in the most perfect ritual. We talked about the Washington Capitals Skull and Bones ritual during Game 6, which foretold that the Nationals looked golden to win the World Series. We talked about George W. Bush posing with Verlander, and Verlander losing again his sixth time in the World Series in Game 6, 115 days after George W. Bush's birthday. We talked about the death of George Herbert Walker Bush, how riddles were done with him throughout the season. Of course, we didn't cover all those riddles, but again, if you were on Patreon this year, you know all about them. We covered Skull and Bones. We covered the Alex Smith breaking his leg on the 322nd day of the year in the Texas-Washington game. 347 days from the conclusion of the World Series. The 69th prime number, Alex Smith 69, Smith 69. We talked about Rendon, the hometown hero, whose full name equals 322. And let's just hit it one more time. Let's just close out one more time for this extra long broadcast about Rendon. So it's all Skull and Bones. It's all 322. That's how we called the World Series. And the hometown hero from Houston who plays for the Washington team, who plays great in games 6 and 7, to help bring it home, his full name equals 322. It also equals 218 like Trump. Also equals 101 to 26 prime. I know there's something in my notes about 101. It's going to bother me. Let's just do it. We got to look real quick. There was something in my notes about 101, but I can't remember what it was. Oops, 101. Maybe it was 100. The Astros got their 101st loss tonight at home versus the Nationals. The Astros picked up their 101st loss, and how fitting that Rendon from Houston has the 101 connection. Nice. The Nationals became 12-5 in the postseason. George Herbert Walker Bush also equals 125, as does numerology, and they got their 105th win again. Okay, so we hit that, and yeah, Steve Scalise, I think we hit them all. Oh, I could have told you again that Rendon, from his birthday, June 6th, to the World Series conclusion, October 30th, We talked about how, again, it was his 147th day of his age. World Series 147. When Scherzer won his first game this year in the postseason, he became 14-7 for the year. And he actually finished 14-7 for the year because he got a no decision. World Series 147 and Houston Astros 147. So he puts away his hometown Houston Astros on his 147th day of his age. And a year that we talk about, or a number that we talk about with the World Series year after year. So I'll have to add to the wall of accomplishments on Patreon, which already doesn't have everything that's on there. But yeah, MLB. Let's go through the wall of accomplishments. I know that I forgot things. We've accomplished a lot, and we do a great job calling games every single day. Today in the NBA, we were on the right side of every single game except for the Kings game today. Only game we got wrong. You know, plus the World Series, plus did well in hockey. I mean, anyway, 2015 in spring training, I said the Mets would be in the 111th World Series. New York equals 111. Never forget, Matt Harvey got pulled on his 111th pitch on November 1st as the Royals put the World Series away. Kansas City Royals equals 212 like the New York area code. But in spring training, I was laughed at for saying the Mets would be in the 111th World Series because New York's 111. Remember how this year the Mets scored 9 runs on 11 hits on September 11th? September 11th leaves 111 days left in the year. 2016, I said the Cubs would win the World Series in spring training. In spring training, I predicted they'd play the Astros because Houston equals 112. It was the 112th World Series. When the Astros were eliminated that year, I said they'll beat the Cleveland Indians in Game 7. Bam! Called that at the end of the regular season. I already knew it was the Cubs' year in Game 7. 112th World Series, ending on 11-2, which it did. No-brainer. Plus, there was a big ritual 94 days before the conclusion of the World Series. If you write out 94 as a word, it equals 147, as we covered earlier. Also equals 57 like World Series. Like, again, how the Astros picked up their 57th postseason loss, losing. But the reason I knew it would be Cleveland after Astros were eliminated is because there's 216 stitches on a baseball, like Cleveland's the 216 area code. By the way, the Bulls beat... who'd they beat tonight? The Bulls... Or not the Bulls. The Cavs beat the Bulls tonight in their 216th game all-time in the 216 area code. This year, the NBA is doing a area codes advertising campaign. But, let me see. 2017 called the Astros over the Dodgers in August. 2018 said look for the Red Sox to win the World Series in Game 5, 99 days before the Super Bowl to conclude the 99th season, which the Patriots will win. Boston Red Sox 53, Patriots 53, Los Angeles 53. And now we can add 2019, called Astros and Nationals to meet in World Series, his strongest narrative at the end of the year. And Nationals to upset the Astros, who the mainstream media said was the greatest team ever. That couldn't be beat. The pitching, the hitting, unbeatable. That's what they said about that Patriots team, too. Doesn't matter when it's all scripted. You don't even know who the best really is. They got you thinking it's the midget Altuve. He's the greatest hitter ever, Altuve. He's good at taking those meatballs out of the park. In the totally scripted MLB. And I'm not saying these guys aren't talented. They very much are. By the way, this year we even got the home run derby right. We called the winner of the home run derby, the third baseman for the Mets, who had the same birthday as Tino Martinez, the last New York player to win a home run derby in Cleveland, where the World Series or the All-Star game was this year. Tino Martinez and the third baseman for the Mets, whose name I can't think of right now, who won that thing. They have the exact same birthday, those two guys. Plus more. Mets equals 57. New York Mets equals 57. The guy he had toss him the pitches, his cousin or whatever it was, his name equaled 57. I always call 57 the Mets number. He had 57 ding-dongs in the home run derby. And I'd been talking about 57 in the Mets all baseball season even before that happened. That's why the people who actually like watch the live streams and listen to what I say every day, they don't go anywhere. They realize that They are subscribed to Pure Gold. Pure Gold. Let's see. It's also why I get trolled so heavily. NBA, we pretty much, we called all the NBA finals from beginning of the season. Just nailed it. Well, I screwed up last year. Last year I was too confident about the Warriors. I thought the Warriors were going to win it. 73rd NBA season. Steph Curry born on the 73rd day of the year. Anyway, I did save my bettors because I told them to hedge that the Raptors looked like they were going to close it out in Game 6. So, it wasn't the end of the world. But what I missed with last year's NBA Finals was that the Drake album came out the same day as Kawhi Leonard's birthday or his signing or whatever it was, and how it was all perfectly synced up. I missed that. His album ends with the song March 14th, Steph Curry's birthday, the 73rd day of the year. I'm still mad. Still mad. I got people in my own life who are still heckling me about that. What happened to the Warriors? Well, it's not that bad. Everyone thought they weren't going to make it to the finals last year. Everyone thought it was going to be the Rockets year. The movie Rocket Man coming out by the finals. I'm like, no, man. And hey, I had the Western Conference Finals right, too. I had it Blazers, Warriors, because Curry brothers equals 73. So people are hating on my NBA work last year. Save the hate. It was mostly still good. It just wasn't, the perfection that so many people become accustomed to. NFL dominated Super Bowl 50. Super Bowl 51. Before Super Bowl 51 was played, before the season began, my first prediction for Super Bowl 51 was that it would either be the Packers or the Falcons in the NFC because both of them equal 44 and the Super Bowl was on a 44 date. That ended up being the NFC Championship and the Falcons won with 44 points. That was the very first prediction I put out about Super Bowl 51. Now, as the season went on, there were some deaths, and I started to think there was going to be a Colts and Giants Super Bowl. And another guy came and attacked my work and said it was going to be Colts-Vikings, and then everybody has some... That's one of the weirdest things, is how a guy attacked me saying I was wrong and it was going to be Colts-Vikings, and now everyone accuses me of having a Colts-Vikings Super Bowl prediction. And I'm like, no, there was a guy who made a video saying that I was wrong about the Colts and Giants, and it was going to be the Colts and Vikings. That happened. I said the Colts and Vikings was a possibility, but trust me, I know the bet that I put in that year, the future, was the Colts and the Giants, and it was wrong. And, I overthought myself that year. But after week one happened, I said, I don't think it's the Colts, I think it's the Patriots. Jimmy Garoppolo was the starter. Brady was out with his fake suspension. The Patriots were a 13.5-point underdog, and I said, I'm not even blinking at that. Patriots are going to win this game all day. And we documented what went on those first few weeks. By the time Brady was back, I was like, it looks like the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. And, at that point, I was back to my Packers or Falcons thing. So, anyway, that wasn't bad work that year. And when it was Falcons and Patriots, I said it would be all about 25. Made a video specifically how it was all about 25, and the Patriots would bring home the 25th Super Bowl for the AFC over the Falcons. Falcons equals 25. That Super Bowl was on 2/5. It was the 97th NFL season. 97 is the 25th prime. They made the touchback 25 yards. And do you remember what happened? The Patriots had a 25-point comeback, synced up with Lady Gaga, the halftime performer. Read my book. You'll learn all about it. Let's see. Patriots, I had them in the Super Bowl from the moment Super Bowl 51 ended. Tom Brady had 62 passing attempts. Minneapolis equals 62. That's where the next Super Bowl was. They ran 93 offensive plays, a record in the Super Bowl. Minneapolis, Minnesota's 93. It's on the 93rd Meridian. I said, Patriots will be in Super Bowl 52. We got to figure out who it is. After week 3, Donald Trump took on the NFL over the protests on September 23rd, 23/9, like 2:39, the 52nd prime, when the flag's sewn in Philadelphia at 239 Arch Street. I said, there it is. Eagles, Patriots. And when Wentz got hurt, I didn't flinch. I said Nick Foles tells me that the Super Bowl is right. His initials are NF146. That's Trump's birthday, 14-6. That's the flag's birthday, which was born in Philadelphia. Nick Foles, NF146. United Kingdom 146. Think about those NFL games. United Kingdom's also 65, like that scripted 65-yard touchdown. What's his name? Cooper Kupp. And by the way, I was wrong about who would win that Super Bowl, and I feel like an idiot. I mean, it was like the easiest riddle ever. I already knew the Philadelphia numbers. Brady went into that Super Bowl with 223 wins. He got his 65th loss. Philadelphia equals 22365. But I did see that there was a chance I could be wrong. I was lasered in on 62 that year. There were so many 62s, I just thought that that was the number. Brady was going to become 6-2. Anyway, I did see a narrative for the Eagles, and I did say if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, Zach Ertz will score the winning touchdown. This is all factual, and this is why I'm pissed off that Google's deleted my channel so many times, because these videos used to exist before the games were played. I said if the Eagles win, Zach Ertz, number 86, will score the winning touchdown because the Super Bowl is 86 days after his birthday and the national anthem was adopted 86 years before this season. And that's exactly what happened. He did score the winning touchdown. And then last year we had Patriots over Rams before the season even began. Helped a guy win $300,000, helped a community of people win who knows how much money. And plus all the that's why this list I wrote right here for my accomplishments is actually pretty crappy. This isn't the full list. I have so many college correct calls, plus just Triple Crown, golf, Tiger with the Masters. We just had Tiger with the Zozo tournament. We had Tiger after day one, but we knew to look for the numbers. Zozo championship equals 96. T Woods equals 96. A scorecard name. Zozo 82. He got his 82nd tournament win, tying Sam Snead. Anyway, we called a lot of golf since we started doing it on Patreon just in the last 6 months, since a little bit after the time of the Masters. The Masters riddle was so easy, but then I realized that you could decode golf and it actually wasn't all that hard. There's a big field, but there's only so many numbers that play with each rig tournament. So there's a long list of accomplishments, and I realize I should build onto that list because it doesn't do me justice. Chalk on the World Series tonight. And haters will say, well, Zach, at the beginning of the year you advised a small bet on the Mariners. Okay, yeah, so what? I told people it was worth betting $50 on 500 to 1 odds. And when the Mariners got off to the best start in baseball, that wasn't an accident. I knew there was going to be something special about their season. And notice, it was about the Nationals, which helped me clue into the Nationals too. Washington, World Series teams in the World Series for the first time. And then we got caught into the whole Bryce Harper Phillies thing because they were doing all these riddles with Bryce Harper in the World Series. And I was like, what's up with that? And it ends up being that it was for his old team. Bryce Harper joined the Phillies by the numbers. And let me just see if I can pull up this post actually about Bryce Harper. And Bryce Harper's baby. Check this out. It's pretty cool to say I'm a dad now. That equals 118, like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, like Philadelphia, PA, that church that burned there this year, that mass shooting there that was synced up with the Phillies' best game of the season. None of this stuff was an accident, but that church that burned was 118 as well. His phrase that's emphasized is the same as Pennsylvania. I guess Pennsylvania Avenue, huh? But the name of his child, Crew Harper, 147 and 57. World Series 147 and 57. When they announced that they were having a baby April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. Let me see something about April Fool's real quick. April Fool's is 57 and 147. See, I'd forgotten that, but now it just came back to me. Just like conspiracy is 147, 57. So he announces on April 1st, April Fool's Day, that he's having this child. And then the child, August 26th, the day of these headlines about his child being born, this is when the news was announced, it was 147 days later. And that same day, they were honoring Jewish heritage. The same day as this Bryce Harper thing, the Phillies were honoring Jewish heritage in the synagogue shooting. Look at Jewish heritage. And don't forget who uses this language. In the 47th chapter of Genesis, 47th chapter, if you write out 47th, it equals 147. Jacob, who becomes Israel, dies at 147 years old. Jewish heritage. Think about it. I was missing that April Fool's piece until just right now. Sometimes you work better at the midnight hour. From the date of that news to the start of the World Series was 57 days. And that's why at this point the Phillies were real long shots to make the World Series. So I told people, I said, I wouldn't bet a lot on it, but I said, a little bit will pay a lot. But because I was like, why are they doing this? Why do they keep singing? And it wasn't just this. They did stuff all throughout the season. So. And then the Phillies won 6-5 that day. And again, Philadelphia is established October 27th, the day leaving 65 days left in the year. Philadelphia 65. So. All right, I better get off. It's 1:47 in the morning. What do you know? And I got to get up, so I'm going to be regretting this tomorrow, but I hope you guys appreciated it. 250. What a low viewer turnout. Isn't it sad? I know it is the middle of the night, but I mean, seriously, is there anything better going on in the world right now than this information that's being dropped in this video? So, thanks to all the people who stayed up and watched it. Sorry if I kept you up extra late, but, don't remember. Just remember, you don't have to watch it live. You can't always watch it later. Well, unless Google takes down the channel. All right. Until next time.